会場の方のかな。
Good morning to everyone. It's with great pleasure that I'm welcoming you to the second day of our journey together for the ETF Network for Excellence event. And it's with great pleasure that we welcome you all here online. Just a few technical details just before we start, and then we will stop with technical details. My name is Simona Rinaldi. I work for ETF, and I'm here together also with Maria Lvova, that I want deeply thank also for yesterday's input that she did a great job. And just to let you know a few things about our event. The language of the event is English, and we have simultaneous interpretation in French, Turkish, and Russian. You have the small icon interpretation, so you just click on it and you choose the language in which you would like to listen to us. The webinar will be recorded. Please mute yourself because we are in a Zoom meeting license, which means that we can all be together, we all see each other, but we can also all listen each other. So mute yourself unless you want to raise your hand and intervene. It will be our great pleasure to listen from you. Please kindly rename yourself with Latin letters by inserting your name, surname, and country. This will help us a lot in case we have to give you the floor, and in any case to know who we have in front of us in this remote setup. Then actually for technical and content related question, please use the chat. You know, ENE is made by people and is for people. ENE is a community. We're here all together. We encourage you to keep your camera on because actually we are here only for you and thanks to you. So we can only exist if we are all together toward the same objective. So please, if you can keep the camera on. If you have any question, use the chat, raise your hand. There will be a bit of time. We know that there is not enough time for question and answer. We are aware of it, but you know, there is so much content to share with you that actually we'll ask for your patience, but we'll try today to cut here and there a few little moments to listen from you. And in any case, all questions will be replied via chat, but we also hope to be able either to give you the floor or at least to cherry pick your question from the chat and giving it to the right speakers. I think that's all from my side. And of course, it's a great pleasure that I announce and I pass the floor to my friend Jose Manuel Galvin-Arribas, who is the content coordinator of the ENE adventure. The floor is yours, Manuel. Thanks to all.
Thank you, Simona. Thank you, colleagues, friends, partners. Welcome back to the second day. And to wake you, thank you for waking you up very early again, but we are ready to discuss, to have today some very interesting discussions to complement the first session yesterday. Today, we have in the session 5, after this introduction, the session on excellence and innovation for equity and inclusion, entrepreneurial role of central vocational excellence. We have also a session on career guidance and vocational excellence, plus the 2 last sessions on internationalization and the use of perhaps ENE and practitioners' work for addressing policy making. What we saw yesterday, well, the sessions is quite condensed, and we try to package in the agenda a lot of contents. We tried to be very focused, and because we were very focused, we had good messages from yesterday. For example, we started with an introduction from our director at Interim, Xavier, on which it was introduced a bit our logics, rationals, and meanings and concept of centers of network for excellence. In particular, also giving some flavors on the 10 themes that are composing our thematic approach. In this respect, also, these 10 themes are informed by ENESAT, which indeed today it is also to be referred in the session of internationalization on how to move from ENESAT to the new international self-assessment tool. It was important to listen in this session also that self-assessment and evaluation tools are useful tools to help understanding COVES institutions' stage of development, on the state of development they are, and where they want to go strategically to support, to move forward. Turkey, our colleagues, despite some connectivity problems, passed, I think, 3 important messages based on the vision that has the country on setting up a network of 30 centers, on which also the COVES are mandate of COVES is also just to generate income and revenues, indeed to transfer also these incomes to invest on technology, and also on the issue that Turkey could inform on the issue of technology transfer in vocational education. Indeed, they also referred very much and rely very much on the communication strategy, which is something that emerged yesterday in all the panels. On the panel on autonomy, 3 key issues were seen by you, by participants, by colleagues as ways also to challenging, but also to improve, which are financial autonomy, bed image, and teachers' motivation. Indeed, people, as Simona said now, and working together is the key issue also for achieving excellence. The panel on the twin transition, we learned that Greta, our flagship action on greening responses through excellence, through thematic actions, is an icebreaker, also has fulfilled a role of icebreaker for pushing also and change a little bit the mindsets of many COVES to initiate projects for greening, on the issue of greening skills, etc. Energy, construction sectors, ecological farmers, COVES green strategies are also others, other issues. Having said that, also in DG ministries, COVES and teachers community are the governance settings arrangements necessary for moving forward. That's all, more or less. I will stop here because I think I still have 1 minute. Okay, if I still have 1 minute, thank you, Loretta. I can say that also in DG it was important to understand that teachers' engagement and incentivizing school administrations, also this was based on the experience, thank you for sharing it, Moldavian school colleague. Indeed, let's say, moving forward digitalization of teaching and learning is also very much based on this and motivation of teachers, and also the, let's say, school management governance. It was also interesting to understand that in all these partnerships, and colleagues also introduced that the role of industry for making real all these implementation of these all thematic approaches and COVES progresses is also very important. And it was confirmed on the presentation of brief presentation on the study that is commissioned by European Commission, and ETF is implemented in the framework of a service level agreement that also you will have a flavor later on. Also, my colleague Yorgos is today among us. The issue of the successfulness of some international practices that has been selected in several countries are very much based on the success factor of inclusion on participation of the strong participation of the industry. So it is necessary also to understand the successfulness of some practices if they are based in a framework for engaging industry.
Thanks a lot, Manuel.
And I will stop here now. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, and I'm sorry, but actually we want to have some time for also for our participants. We need to cut ourselves, so I'm cutting myself immediately. And actually, I pass the floor with Filippo Del Nino, who is a colleague from ETF, that will guide us through the session on excellence and innovation for equity and inclusion. Filippo, the floor is yours. You know how much time you have. Don't make me cut you. You are muted, Habib. You are muted.
Work on this initiative with our colleague Lida Kita, our partners from ENE, and a number of centers of excellence from Israel, Turkey, Albania, and Georgia, Malawi, and Zimbabwe. I consider this one of the most interesting of the sub-initiative of ENE. It forces us to really discuss what we mean by excellence and whether a dichotomy between excellence and social inclusion does exist. We have recently discussed these elements in a peer learning visit with all our partners in San Sebastian, and among the most interesting answers we received are the ones from our friends from Malawi and Zimbabwe. This is the reason why we invited them today for this panel. So I have the pleasure to introduce Priscilla Kihota from Ponezai Vanyu Technical College in Zimbabwe, and Mr. Enoch Juma from Mikolongwe Vocational Schools, Malawi. It will be a short panel of 20 minutes with question and answers. I invite participants, if they have questions from our panelists on this topic, to actually write it in the chat and we will address them soon after. Enoch and Priscilla, thank you very much for coming. I see you on screen. Priscilla, I don't see you, but maybe you're all connected. Can you confirm?
Yes, I am connected.
Excellent, excellent. So we go straight without hesitation to the question. I pose the questions. Feel free to reply, both of you, or as you prefer. The first question is, how does VET vocational excellence promote social inclusion in your context?
Yeah, I think for that one, can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Yeah. First of all, my name is Enoch Juma. I'm working for development aid from People Tap Malawi, and particularly at the Mikolongwe Vocational School as a partnership manager. DAP is one of the members of Humana People to People, and we are within the network of Humana People to People. All right, so for your question, we as DAP Malawi with our Mikolongwe Vocational School, we are looking at the deficiencies of the individuals that we have in Malawi, and in particular around the areas that we are operating. And then we find a way to deliver the courses to each individual, at least to the level that each person can be able to understand, or the group can be able to understand, and use the skills as well as the intellectual or economic skills that we provide them. And also, most of all, we are located in the rural areas where we are focusing on the rural communities, and also we are looking at the rural people, the vulnerable people that surround the school, so that they can use the facilities that we have. Additionally, of course, we also train our teachers in social inclusion, and also when we are advertising for places, we also have that area, especially the emphasis on the girls and the people living with disabilities, as well as engaging the youth in various school departments and activities, and also giving them a chance to run the school. Yeah.
I'm sorry if I intervene. Priscilla, perhaps could you switch off, could you take out the virtual background? Perhaps is this it will give you this ghost appearance, which is nice as well. But if you want to try, we would like to benefit also from your smile, to take out the virtual background. And thank you, Juma, I'm sorry for interrupting you. Now
Thank you.
Okay, Priscilla.
Okay, I'm removing that. I think we can proceed.
We still cannot see you, but if you don't
go ahead.
manage, it's still okay. Please go ahead.
Oh, I'm trying to remove the background.
Do not worry, Priscilla, go ahead with your content. Your voice would be more than sufficient and the seaside is excellent. Thank you. Floor is yours.
Oh, okay, thank you. I think I will complement what Enoch said. From our side, I'm Priscilla Jota from Ponisaiban Technical College, which is a DAPP, a institution that is we are a member to the Humana People-to-People Federation. Our institution is located in the remotest part of Zimbabwe, that is in Shamba district. And as such, that's one of our key ways of reaching out to communities that are disadvantaged. And we tend to move enrollment from the college to the community. We enroll through visiting the communities and engaging the people. It allows for innovation and collaboration as we try to get the best out of each student and out of each learner with the resources that we do have. Then again, in terms of promoting inclusion, the education system in Zimbabwe usually emphasizes academic prowess, and we tend to, as a vocational training center, we tend to have the students who would not have excelled in their ordinary levels, although we also accommodate those with very good academic achievements. But those without are also incorporated in the training. And we have a case where we have some students who cannot take English as a language of command. Then we use the vernacular. They do sit their exams using the vernacular, and they tend to get above average marks. So it shows that VET is promotes it shows that VET promotes social inclusion. Then we also match skills as is demanded. We are not leaving out the market to which we want to send those students. So we try to work with them as part of the resources for our schools. Then we have also trained our teachers in disability inclusion, which makes it more inclusive in terms of training. Then in our case, we have a local university that we work with, and it helps in research validation and the accreditation of courses. So adjusting the courses, the course content is something that we can do using the skills, because we have students who go on attachment and we learn from those employers. So I think looking at our situation in Zimbabwe, our context, VET is promoting social inclusion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Priscilla. Second question is, what policies and practices are there to ensure that young people are equipped with the necessary transversal skills of relevance for living and working?
In Zimbabwe, we have policies at national level, but I will start with policies at organizational level. That is what we have at DAP. At DAP, we have the gender policy, which promotes equality. Then we have what we call an equal opportunities policy, where we are discouraging that any job, any course, any kind of opportunity should be reserved for one gender. So in terms of policies, we also have a quota that we set to say, if it comes to enrollment of students in VET institutions, we target a 50-50 representation, and then a 15% quota for people, for youth with disabilities. But we may find that we sometimes fail to reach the 50-50 quota. Then at national level, we have policies like the National Disability Policy, which promotes inclusion and ensures that there is equal access to opportunities and equality. Then it also supports the availability of support safety nets programs targeting people with disabilities because it's a disability policy. Then we have this Education 5.0, which promotes industrialization and establishment of business hubs at institutional level. And that is helping us, that is guiding us in the work that we are doing at these VET institutions. Then we have the National Gender Policy, which is promoting gender inclusion in all aspects, including VET training. And these are the policies that we do refer to, and these are the policies that have also shaped our institutional policies. Then the way that VET institutions are aligned in Zimbabwe, they are aligned to the Ministry of Youth, not to the Ministry of Higher Education. That helps us to reach, through the Ministry of Youth, reaching youth who are in the most underserved communities. So in terms of policy, I think that's what is there in Zimbabwe at Ponesa Ivanu and also at national level. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Priscilla. Enoch.
Yeah, just to add on that, I think not adding, but for the context of Malawi, we also have our own policies at the institutional level, and also we are adhering to the national level policies. So in our national level policies, like the TVET policy, it has a priority as priority number one as access and equity, which when we're developing our policies, we make sure that we are also aligning to that policy. And then we have several policies also that are trying to enforce and also support social inclusion. Like we have the disability policy, we have the gender policies, which are all supporting social inclusion. In terms of the practices at the ADAP Migolongo Vocational School, we are also emphasizing on the work-based learning as our own way of practicing that we have social inclusion in place. School assessment also, especially that tool which you provided us, supported us quite a lot in finding out some gaps in the practices that we are implementing at our school. And again, also we are practicing the teacher apprentice programs where we are looking at how our students can fare well when they go to start work in the companies or in other institutions. So I think these are some of the examples of practices that we are implementing in Malawi.
Thank you very much. Now, I mean, let's look at what are the barriers to effective adoption of such policies and practices.
In looking at the barriers regarding policy implementation, maybe I will start by adding on some of the practices that we do whilst at Ponesa Ivanu Technical College in Zimbabwe. These practices include a compulsory entrepreneurship course, which promotes, say, business etiquette and everything. Then we conduct career guidance sessions. We provide counseling to individual students. Whilst at national level, there is this practice where they are paying, there is a disability fund where they are paying fees for students with disabilities. What gives a challenge is that some people are not aware that we have that those services are available. Instead, they may not approach the right offices and get the support. Then we also have a challenge where the students are not interested in entrepreneurship. They only think of, will I be employed? They are not thinking of themselves as employers. Then it also, there is also then an issue of having the resources. Sometimes we have limited resources, but like in any situation, corruption may come along the way and people tend not to benefit from such policies that are there and the practices that may be available. And also there is this lack of will among the youth because VET is lowly regarded in our country. Like I said, we tend to enroll someone who can just read and write, and someone to enroll in a VET institution may think, what will people say regarding my enrollment with the institution? Thank you.
Thank you, Rijma. Thank you very much, Priscilla. Enoch?
Yeah, I think just to add on the barriers, we have a barrier on the female access to TVET, especially for male-dominated courses in Malawi, and also we have the barriers in terms of linking the policies that we have with other policies. And then I'm looking at an example for gender policy linking with the TVET policy, because even gender-based violence and lack of respect also affected the implementation of the policies. Yes.
Thank you very much. The last question I would like to put forward to you is, what was your experience in joining the ENE partnership on social inclusion? What did you learn, and what would you do differently to further explore this network and learning opportunity? So if you have any advice for us, we will be glad in taking them.
Yeah, first I'd like to thank you, or thank the network for including our institutions in Africa, DAP Malawi's institutions, and as well as Zimbabwe. And I think for recognizing that we can also be part of vocation of excellence. I think what I can say is the real definition of excellence can be defined, I think has been redefined, that we can also do other things, and that can also be recorded or be taken as the excellence. This is the inclusion of social inclusion in the vocational excellence. I think it has been very good. Yeah, throughout the journey, I think we have learned a lot of things. I think the inclusion of social inclusion in VET, I think should be included in all the curriculums and in all the courses. And I think all the partners have their own way of exploiting social inclusion. We have seen that when we are having the visual visit, and that has been seen to say each institution has its own way of social inclusion. And many of the institutions in Europe are focusing more on digital inclusion as a means to make sure that each and every person is reaching VET. I think that is also a very big lesson that maybe we can eventually in future that we might trickle down to us also. And also we have learned that the social inclusion does not have a universal definition, as everyone is excluded at one point or another. I think it's a good point. We have seen that during the COVID era, the COVID period, where everyone was excluded, and we had to find ways and means on how we can be included.
Thank you very much, Enoch. Priscilla, one final comment from your side.
My final comment is that participating in this forum has helped me, has helped our organization to understand that what we are doing here in Zimbabwe is also being done in Europe and elsewhere. And we thank the whole network for that. And we hope to continue participating even through the WhatsApp group that was formed in the last event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Priscilla. Thank you very much, Enoch. I have to say that it is actually a privilege for us to have you joining the network. We work mainly in Europe and neighboring countries, so this element of internationalization is very important for us. You bring something different to the table. At the same time, I think we can see that among all the countries involved in this partnership, there has a lot of common trends. I have just a few seconds to wrap up on a few elements that you have raised. I think that the individualized approach for students is coming from both answers. The importance to outreach from the Center of Excellence, in particular in poor and rural areas. The importance of policies which support the Center of Excellence and do not leave them alone to deal with the challenges. And also, I would like to pick up this last point from Enoch, which I think represents well the developments of social inclusion, is the we are all excluded in one way or the other. It's not you can identify only target groups that have to be supported. I mean, it's something that it should target every single students of the Center of Excellence. Thank you very much again for your contribution. I pass the floor back to Simona. Sorry for being slightly late.
Don't worry, I will come to your office tomorrow and you will pay the bill. Apart from that, thank you so much again for our distinguished guests. It was a great pleasure having actually the possibility also to listen from that side of the world. Thank you so much. Very inspiring from all of us. So just a quick information. Since I insisted actually quite a lot in you keeping the camera on. If you want to wish all the nice picture and faces around the ENE community, just switch your view into the gallery view, and then you will see all of us together. I did it just now, and it's nice, so we can also take a screenshot of this moment together. Okay, allora, now we move to another session, which is a session on entrepreneurial centers of vocational excellence, which I will call from now onwards the ENTRE COVES. This session was supposed to be run by the colleague who is in charge of this initiative, who is Maria Vittoria Garlappi. Unfortunately, she was not here in the office today, so I will replace her, and I hope to do it in a good way. So just a quick word about the entrepreneurial COVE, which is a journey that actually can be done around 4 integrated dimensions, which is the teaching and learning practices, is the organizational processes, product and services development, and relationship with the ecosystem. This new concept basically has been produced by the ENE partnership, and actually I think that a couple of questions comes to our mind, right? How to reinforce the COVES through entrepreneurships, what can be the key elements? And I think that here I need a bit of Manuel's brain. I would ask the tech producer to spotlight Manuel for me for a second. And Manuel, do you have anything to add, any input to give it to me on the COVE? Okay, allora, I see Manuel is not ready. I can ask later to him just because we have to stick to the time. So I have the pleasure now to introduce you a Mentimeter. If you go in the chat, you should have already the link to Mentimeter. Please click on the link, because actually it will be redirected to a page where we need your input, just in one word. The question is, what does come to your mind when we talk about entrepreneurial COVES? So what does come to your mind? So please, go in the link, click, put your word, and in 1 minute, actually, we will have the word cloud. The more you put, and the better it is. And of course, it might happen also that we will have only few words. It means that there is consensus. So it's the good way of the word cloud, also less is more. Just in case Manuel is back, and while the Mentimeter goes, if Manuel wants to contribute on anything. Okay, then perhaps something to add is actually that COVES in the partnership with ENE also developed new approaches and products to become more entrepreneurial. Oh, Manuel.
No, I am here, yes.
Okay.
You realize I was kicked out by Zoom.
Yeah, no, I realized I was trying to.
Yeah, but I had time also to insert a couple of words here.
But you know, we have a secret in ETF. The Wi-Fi doesn't work in ETF. So even in developed countries, you see, we have some challenges. Manuel, would you mind to give a 1 minute commenting and wording, also linked to the results we are getting from the word cloud, and then we pass to our distinguished guest. Floor is yours, Manuel.
Thank you, Simona. Yes, these entrepreneurial centers of vocational excellence partnerships, I would like to say, first of all, congratulations, colleagues, because it's challenging from the beginning, because we started with a clear objective on, let's say, shaping together a new concept. Okay, having said that, I want to thank also the centers of excellence that are participating actively in this partnership, which are PACEEF Moldova, ESIT Morocco, Bizarte Tunis, LEP Modus Georgia, and Goichai Azerbaijan. So these active colleagues help us, and we worked together for, let's say, deliver an entrepreneurial conceptual framework of centers of vocational excellence, which is based on organizational practices, teaching and learning processes, the particular ecosystem, and also the products and services. We deliver, in particular in webinars, we have 4 webinars on international cooperation, digitalization and entrepreneurial role of centers, sustainable goals, and role of women entrepreneurship. So we also included the gender dimension here. I want to underline this. And also we had a session on business startups. Currently, colleagues are COVES colleagues are participating in coaching sessions that are coordinated in cooperation with CARDET. And I think I brief, and that's all. And I leave you now to the speakers and to you, back to you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Manuel. So we see actually from the word cloud, we have innovation, whatever it means, because there is both social and technological innovation, actually, creativity, initiative, income support, ideas. Thank you so much. We can stop screen sharing the word cloud, and you see that all of these words, in fact, are basically describing what entrepreneurship concept is. Okay, thank you so much. So it's now the moment to listen from Andreas Georgiou, who is the head of innovation unit from the Center for the Advancement of Research and Development in Educational Technology from Cyprus. Nice to meet you, Andreas. We never met each other, in fact. So floor is yours. And the question for you actually is, the first trend about COVES is about defining the concept of what an entrepreneurial COVE is. Could you tell us more? Could you enlighten us with your presentation? You know that you have a very little time, 4 or 5 minutes. I trust you. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Simona, for the introduction, and thank you all for coming today to listen about the entrepreneurial COVES. So my name is Andreas Georgiou, and I am the head of innovation unit at CARDET. CARDET is a research and development center based in Cyprus. CARDET, with the European Training Foundation, is the facilitator of an initiative that supports the establishment and facilitation of a partnership in the area of entrepreneurial centers of vocational excellence, entrepreneurial COVES, promoting entrepreneurship excellence as a key competency for a lifelong learning. Developing into an entrepreneurial COVE is a journey along a continuum of growth, exploration, and development. For the purpose of the initiative, we have developed several tools, a conceptual framework, assessment tools, and we have organized coaching sessions and other activities in order to capture and improve some of the key areas of entrepreneurship. Looking at this slide, you can see the definition of what entrepreneurship is we used during the last 2 years with the entrepreneurial COVES. Entrepreneurship is when you act upon opportunities and ideas and transform them into value for others. The value that is created can be financial, cultural, or social. Moving to the last slide of this presentation, you can see a snapshot of the conceptual framework. You can find, of course, more information about the entrepreneurial COVES initiative on the ETF website, the conceptual framework, the assessment tools, the results of the coaching sessions, and other information if you want to go and see what we did the last 2 years. Here, you can see the snapshot of the 4 areas that we worked the last 2 years with the COVES. And here, the important part is that an entrepreneurial COVE is a center that demonstrates systemic entrepreneurial features infused across its 4 areas. The first area is organizational practices, and here we have the components of strategy, operational structure, financing, human resource management, internal communication, monitoring, quality assurance, etc. The second component is the products and services, and here we have different elements such as the design and delivery of offerings to external actors such as enterprises, governments, organizations. And here we have activities such as research and consultancy services and trainings. The third component is the teaching and learning processes. And here we have the approaches, the learning engagement, the teaching and learning processes, the curricula, and the assessment. And the last component is the ecosystem. Here we have the engagement with the stakeholders, with the enterprises, the partners, how to build networks, how to engage and organize advocacy activities and develop internationalization strategies. Therefore, an entrepreneurial COVE is a center that identifies and acts on opportunities and ideas, transforming in real-world initiatives and ventures that bring value, social, cultural, or financial, to individual groups and communities. So that's the idea behind what is an entrepreneurial COVE, the different steps, and how you can use and improve some of the areas of your center of excellence in order to bring more and infuse some entrepreneurial elements in your processes and in your activities. Thank you for listening. As I said before, of course, you can find more information about the conceptual framework, the different assessment tools, the activities, the coaching sessions plan, and other tools on the ETF website. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andreas. That was very interesting. You even didn't let me ring the bell because we were really ahead of time. Thank you so much for the experience from Cardet. And I might come back to you at the end of the session in case we have any question. Please write your question in the chat. We will do our best. In the worst scenario, we do it at the end of the day, but this is really the worst scenario. The best scenario, which we are trying to apply, is to doing it live now or never. Okay, so please put your question in the chat, and in the same time, allow me to welcome the next guest, who is, and I'm sorry for the pronunciation in case it's not correct, as it was for Andreas, by the way, and who is Ktar Iraqi Husseini, who is manager at the Career Center de l'École Supérieure des Industries du Textile et de l'Habillement, Morocco. Bonjour, madame. And actually, I have a question for you, which will be the same also for our second guest, which I will introduce later to keep a bit of suspense. So the question is, we have a second strand of the partnership, which is about practical work to become a more entrepreneurial as COVE by developing new products and new services. Can you tell us more? Because we're particularly interested in products and services, something concrete from the field. Floor is yours. Thank you. Will you speak in English or in French? You are muted. You are muted.
Sorry. Donc, merci beaucoup. Bonjour à tous. Je me présente. Je suis Ktar Iraqi Husseini. Je suis manager du Career Center de l'école ESIT. Donc, l'école ESIT, c'est une école d'ingénieurs d'État qui forme pour différentes disciplines, principalement le textile et l'habillement, passant par la logistique, l'hygiène, sécurité, l'informatique, le marketing et d'autres. Alors, je suis manager du Career Center. Donc, le Career Center, il s'occupe de tout ce qui est employabilité. Donc, il a été lancé en 2015 et sa mission principale, c'est le suivi de l'insertion professionnelle de nos lauréats. Alors, en parlant justement des produits et des services que nous avons lancés dans le cadre de ce partenariat, donc nous avons pris un peu l'initiative de lancer un centre de l'entrepreneuriat, donc une sorte de pré-incubateur qui aurait pour mission de sensibiliser et de promouvoir l'esprit entrepreneurial parmi les étudiants de notre école. Et justement, c'est dans le cadre des actions de coaching qui ont été suivies avec c'est-à-dire le réseau Covid. Donc, nous avons pu échanger autour des meilleures pratiques qui vont nous permettre de mettre en place un plan d'action bien structuré, pertinent pour pouvoir justement atteindre notre objectif. Et en effet, il n'y a pas plus que 3 semaines, le centre, il a été bien lancé. Nous avons fait un appel à candidature. Nous avons aujourd'hui plus que 9 participants parmi les étudiants qui ont déjà des idées de projets et que nous comptons suivre à travers un parcours académique bien établi, à travers un petit peu le développement de partenariats national et à l'international et à travers l'appui sur l'écosystème un peu professionnel dont nous profitons et dans lequel nous prospérons. Donc, et voilà, donc justement, les échanges qui ont eu lieu au sein de ces rencontres ou de ces coaching sessions ont été très pertinents parce que ça nous a permis justement, comme vous savez, donc il y avait de l'intelligence collective, donc nous avons, on peut pas atteindre des objectifs tout seul, donc il a fallu échanger, discuter avec les experts qui ont été là et je profite de l'occasion pour les remercier. Ils nous ont guidés, ils nous ont challengés et ils nous ont amenés justement vers, on va dire, l'excellence. Voilà.
Merci beaucoup, vraiment, on a bien appris et aussi on peut voir the enthusiasm. I made a mix because I didn't have the word in French.
It's good.
But really, you know, whenever you can feel the passion, the results come by itself. No way. Thank you so much, Kavtar. I might take the privilege to come back to you at the very end for a final word. So now the word goes to...
Merci à vous.
Merci. To Ms. Cesara Petescu, PhD Deputy Director for Practical Training, Center of Excellence in Economy and Finance from Moldova. The question is the same. Allow me just to repeat it for the participants to follow us. The question is, the second strength of the partnership is about practical work. So developing new products, new services. Tell us your experience. Thanks a lot, Cesara. Floor is yours. Unmute yourself. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to greet the organizers and participants of today's event and express my gratitude to the ETF for their involvement and dedication in fortifying interinstitutional partnerships. The Center of Excellence in Economy and Finance from Chisinau is an institution that pays a great attention to the development of entrepreneurial skills, given the economic orientation of it. From our previous experience, we mentioned that entrepreneurial competencies are developed through the course units Firm of Exercise and Entrepreneurship Basics, through the national competitions such as the Best Business Plan and the Yearly Fair of Firms of Exercise, such the activity of school companies and the Entrepreneurial Club Impact. The Entrepreneurial Clubs project has helped us to become more entrepreneurial through the many activities we have carried out. Within the project, we managed to identify our strengths and vulnerabilities based on reflection tools completed by the institution and analyzed together with CARDET experts. Subsequently, we identified 4 common priority areas for the participating institution, each institution being free to go on to entrepreneurial development direction from the list of 4 established. In order to become more entrepreneurial, we decided to focus on directions such as SDGs and business incubators and support for startups. As a result of the activity involvement of the CARDET team and the experts invited to the training session, we were able to draw up action plans aimed at developing a product or services for each selected area of interest. We are currently in the process of implementing the actions set out in the plan, always guided by the ETF, and among our achievements are the guide aimed largely at our graduates who want to start a business entitled First Steps in Business, and the Green Economy course aimed at children aged 7-13 years from vulnerable families. I would like to mention that those 2 products have seen the light of the day thanks to our participation in this project, which has shown us that institutions with economic profile also have reserves for increasing their entrepreneurial potential. In addition to all the advantages that participation in this project has brought us, I would like to mention the following. We have exchanged best practices with the participating institution. We have received many useful inputs from experts on the development and implementing of our plans. We were inspired by the ideas of the other participants and the practical experience of the experts. And the most importantly, we have developed lasting partnership and met many professional people from whom you can always learn and whom I thank greatly for this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Cesara. And can I actually ask to have back also Andrea and Kaptara just for a second here all together with me? So I just would like to have the final live word cloud. So if I'm asking you, the three of you, what does come to your mind when we talk about entrepreneurial COVES? One word, surprise me. You can take the order, Andreas, man first, for once we change.
Thank you, Cesara and Iragi, for sharing their experience during this journey. I will say again that developing into an entrepreneurial COVE is a journey. So this is the key word, the journey. And you have to learn from your mistakes, to see, to identify opportunities in your local context, and then get to action. That's my final remark.
Thank you so much, Andrea. It was a bit more than one word, but, but I do appreciate it. Thank you so much, Kaptar.
Bon, moi, de mon côté, je le qualifierais de plutôt création de valeur, chaîne de valeur, partenariat, créativité, intelligence collective. C'est ça ce qui m'inspire quand on parle de l'entrepreneuriat dans le cadre du Covid, parce qu'à travers les coaching sessions qu'on a eues, c'est ça ce qu'on a vu, ce qu'on a vécu, beaucoup d'aspiration, beaucoup d'intelligence collective, beaucoup d'échanges, donc c'est ça.
Merci beaucoup, vraiment. Cesara?
In my opinion, the key word is the innovative ideas.
Ah, you see it, Cesara, she got to the point. Allora, so what I take is journey, values creation, innovative ideas. Thank you so much, distinguished guest. It was a great, great pleasure. So while thanking you, and before passing from the next to the next session, just to be sure that you are all alive, I will now put myself in gallery view. And I would ask you to give me a kind of analogical feedback. Please go to reactions. You know, you have the tab reaction. Just go to the tab reaction and tell me if the thumb is up, if we deserve an applause, an heart, if you are falling asleep. So at least I know how to more or less shape my way. Okay, I'm getting also a few hearts from you. Good, good. So the good news for the moment is that you are all alive, which is good. After 1 year online is a success by itself. So thank you so much. I think that we can move to the next session, and I still encourage to put question in chat, because if we are late, we want to be late because you made us late, bombarding us with questions. The next session is vocational excellence and career education. Sorry, and it's also my field because I do a lot of work with Florian on this, and I made a mistake. I was too emotional for me, Florian. Allora, too close to my heart, the topic, vocational excellence and career education and career guidance. What is the role of COVES? Florian Cades, ETF. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Simona. And I really listened with interest to the previous sessions. I mean, the topics of social inclusion and entrepreneurial learning is so closely linked to career guidance. Career guidance really is a tool to improve social inclusion and is a way to enhance entrepreneurial learning. So there are really close connections. So very happy to be with you today. Welcome all. Career guidance, as you know, is one of the model within the ENE self-assessment tool. And it's also an official element for excellence, so meaning for high quality in VET. And in previous events on career guidance, we clarified that there are 4 broad areas for career guidance in VET centers. So the first one is career guidance in schools for potential future vet learners. It's not about marketing, it's very different. It's about evidence-based information and guidance provision using data like from tracer studies, labor market information, skills forecasts, working in partnership with public employment services, with employers, etc. The second area is career guidance for vet learners, and many countries actually have that in place, very good structures. And it's about supporting the development of the so-called career management skills for vet learners, which is about learning about oneself, learning about the labor market, learning about the world of learning and education. It's much more than just informing them about matching occupations to their interests. A third element marks also how far it can go to provide career guidance. It's about support to wider youth unemployment, overcoming wider youth unemployment and failed or difficult transition, including of adults. So meaning supporting former people who are needs, not in education, employment or training, placed into vet or adult learnings, who up or reskill. And finally, it's about career guidance support of transition from vet to work or to further learning. What high quality career guidance means had also been discussed in past events and most recently in October in an event. And today we will touch upon very similar topics, but in a different form. And for that, I'm really, really happy to have here two very distinguished guests and experts. So I'm welcoming Ms. Haikui Gevargian from Armenia. Maybe you can be tagged as well. It would be nice. Hi, Haikui.
Hello.
Nice to have you again. And welcome Ms. Jennifer McKinsey from Ireland. Hi, Jennifer.
Morning.
Hi, great to have you both.
Thank you.
Jennifer, can I start with you with a cynical question somehow? You know, as CEDEFOP CareersNet core expert for Ireland and as a former director of the National Centre for Guidance in Education in Ireland, I think you would agree with me that school directors and teachers in vet centres really should not care at all about career guidance and career education and just, you know, focus on marketing of new students and because vet students don't need guidance, isn't it?
There's the challenge. Good morning. Thank you, Florian and ETF, for inviting me to join and enjoy this session so far this morning. I would have to disagree with you, Florian, I'm afraid. Reflecting on the previous speakers where they were speaking about the journey, that vet is part of the lifelong learning journey. I would bring it back to that concept that attending vet centres is part of that lifelong learning journey. And I would suggest that the competences and the skills and the aptitudes and the knowledge that are developed, which are crucially developed as part of the vet centres, are part of the person's career journey. And I would think that if we look back at the labour market over the last 10 to 15 years and how this has changed dramatically, there are jobs that people do now that none of us even knew we could not even think about 10 or 15 years ago. 15 years ago, we wouldn't have thought of having a Zoom conference like this. So we all need skills to be on a Zoom conference. But when you think of the crucial skills for a particular job with vet training, there are also skills that the individual needs to learn and develop while they're doing their vet training to support them in the future labour market, that we don't know what that's going to look like. So it's important to be developing their adaptability, their transferable skills. And what we talk about, you mentioned there, is the career management skills. So looking at their own self-reflection, excuse me, developing the skills to think about, well, where am I now? What am I enjoying now? What is it that I really like about this course, and what particular part of this career would I like to focus on? I would suggest also that if you, as a director or a tutor in a vet centre, think about your own career and how you have come to be in the position that you are in now. That's crucially important as well. So if you're a tutor, were you working in the field before you became the tutor? How did you become a tutor? And how does somebody who is in a vet college think about, well, actually, I might like to teach this particular area of whatever that sector is. Yeah. So if you think that choosing the vet program when you're leaving secondary school to move into your vet program, there's a choice and there's a thinking about, well, what do I like? What do I enjoy? Do I want to, work and learn or learn for work skills? When I'm in the vet centre, then what do I need? I need application process skills. I need to look at, well, what is my next step? What jobs am I going to apply for? Do I want to go to higher education with the skills that I have now? So it's crucial that the guidance is there as a support, underpinning what the skills are being developed. And I think it's really important then that the director and the tutors are involved. Because the director and the tutors, they understand their own sector. They know what's important. They know what skills are important. And working together with the career guidance person ultimately will support the individual. And I suppose my final comment would reflect on the previous speakers and as you mentioned there about access and equity and social inclusion. If someone has come into the vet sector in their training because they have come from a disadvantaged area, they need that extra level of support to progress through, to see that there are options, that this is not the final stop. So I would think there is a crucial role for the directors and the tutors to work with the guidance people in vet. So that's my answer to that question.
Thanks a lot, and I'm very happy you disagreed with me. You can see in the chat a lot of links that Jennifer is sharing, and I will come back to you, Jennifer, in a moment. Hi, Kui. You have two hats. On the one hand side, you established an NGO called Careers Lab, offering guidance services all over the country. And on the second hat, you are the head of the Career Guidance and Capacity Development Center in Armenia, that conducts training, continuous capacity development of career guidance practitioners, that provides supervision of trained specialists, that offers the development of models and methodologies, etc., etc. You even carry out research, make suggestions for policy and practice improvement. How important is it to actually have a full-time career guidance practitioner in a vet school?
Three heads, Florian, because I'm also the lecturer and my subject is career guidance methodology and techniques for social pedagogues. First of all, thank you for having me today. It's my great pleasure to introduce Armenia and share my experience with you. Turning to my heads, there are different goals and different expectations as a public and private sector representative, and different goal as a researcher. If we are talking about the system implementation, all those roles help to make the system more efficient. So, as you know, in the Eastern Partnership countries, Armenia's state regulations are unique, where funds for lifelong career guidance development system implementation are planned in the state budget. And evidence shows that the sustainable and successful implementation of career guidance system at the national level is related to the state budget. And it's clear that the state budgets are limited, and for piloting some initiatives or evaluating results, which will be the basis for implementation of national system. So as a head of Career Guidance and Capacity Development Center, which is operated in the structure of the Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs, we are the main player supporting the implementation of career guidance system in Armenia. The center is responsible for development and provision lifelong career guidance implementation modules, methodologies, career education curriculum, capacity building for career practitioners and advisors, and other related activities. And our main beneficiaries are all public institutions in the formal education institutions, schools, general schools, colleges, universities, and also social service providers. We are also trying to cooperate between all institutions in career development system. But as a state institution, the center resources and opportunities are limited. And for example, during the development of methodology, we need to adopt some tools or piloting some programs, but we don't have a mandate for providing service directly to beneficiaries. That's why I founded the Career Lab Armenia NGO. This is a Career and Mobility Center, and it makes our activities more efficient. We try to connect all stakeholders, donors together for sustainable and effective cooperation. And
Kui, sorry to intervene. Can I ask you, so you would say having a full-time position practitioner in a vet school would actually make a lot of sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And one of our biggest successes implementation in TVET system, career guidance system, because now we have one paid specialist in all vet institutions. They are responsible only for career guidance activities, and they have the regulations, they have job profile, methodology, monitoring tools. I think it's a big success for us.
It is, Kui, and it's really an inspiring case for all other countries, I can tell, because funding is secured in a sustainable way, and the job description is very clear, bringing all the different actors together. I'm just checking with Simona and Loretta. I'm aware of the time. How much do we have still, Simona?
Allora, since we are friends, the two of us, I can give 2-3 minutes, just because we are basically eating time for the coffee break. So you will be hated by participants, not me. So is it okay, 2-3 minutes?
Good. We will have one more question for both Jennifer and Kui, and I kindly ask both to be more concise on that. Jennifer, coming back to you, because those two questions I think are really at the heart of the interest of that session. Why, Jennifer, is a whole school guidance approach useful, and what is it actually? What have you done in Ireland we can learn from?
Okay. Thank you, Florian. I will try to be very quick. The policy in Ireland from 2005 was to develop a whole school approach. And in 2017, we developed a framework. So you've put the link to the framework there. So if anyone wants to email me, I'll put my email in the chat and people can contact me directly. The idea of whole school goes back to what Kui was saying about it being so important to have a full-time person in the school who has a responsibility for the guidance program, but they cannot operate in isolation. They have to be able to work with the school director, the school teachers, the subject teachers, the local community, the local businesses. Whether it's to arrange a careers night in the school, you need everybody involved, or to make sure that you're providing the right support for the individual student. So where the individual student may be really, really good in one area, but really struggling in another, it's very important that the guidance counsellor knows that when they're working with the student. And obviously the student is right in the centre. It's not done without their participation. But the idea of whole school means that the capacity for the guidance programme develops throughout the school, and it's not just one person trying to be, dealing with 1,500 students by themselves, and it interconnects in a better way. So that's really the quickest way to explain why it's so important.
Excellent, Jennifer. Thanks so much. And one more word from my side. It's about preventive work. It's not reacting to problems, and that's so different. Thanks so much, Jennifer. Kui, I have one tricky question for you in terms of timing, but I will still ask it. So the Career Guidance and Capacity Development Center you work for developed a particular methodology and also tools for individuals and for group works. Can you summarize very briefly what are the key characteristics of this methodology and tools?
Actually, the methodology proposed by the center recommended not only for group and individual work, but also for self-services. It means that the service provider must have a resource room or special space for separate computers and equipments for self-services. But the latter is hard to provide this in all institutions. So we focused on group and individual work now, and in general, the methodology based on information, consultation, guidance, and developing capacities. And main objectives are identifying the individual's personality, preference and interests, transferring information, providing knowledge about professions, identifying their interest, developing their key competencies related to employability. And I want to mention also in the scope of career education, we developed 2 programs, career management skills development module for TVET institutions and universities. And the second is professional orientation or career guidance training course for standard and curricula for general schools. They are structured, moduled, and they are implemented now in all VET institutions, and starting from 2023 in all general schools will be implemented.
Thanks so much, Haikui, for quick response to that. Jennifer and Haikui, there will be many more opportunities to continue the discussions. We will follow up and see in the chat. We would like to hear from you more, and I'm very, very happy to hand over to Simona before she cuts my head. All the best.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You see, actually, the women power. We don't even need to talk any longer. Now, what do you think, ladies? You just do like this, even with the virtual background, and people know, mamma mia. Allora, thank you so much for this first part. Thank you so much, Jennifer and Haiku. It was inspiring. And again, this topic is very close to my heart. Thanks, Flo. So now we have the coffee break. Well, coffee break. Each one will take his coffee, like me. And I think that we are over time, but we would like still to give 10 minutes. So under permission of Loretta, Ina, and all the ENE team, I would give a 10 minutes coffee break, which means to reconvey here 10:35. Please do come back, because as in every event of ENE, the best is yet to come. So come back, and also if you want, profit of a video that we will play around the coffee break, which is about a peer learning activity that was run last June by ETF in Netherlands. Thanks to all. See you in 10 minutes, back here 10:35. Thank you. The video can start.
The European Training Foundation is an agency of the European Union based in Italy, in Turin, working in the area of external action policies of the European Union. We do work with neighbor countries, and we work in a specific domain, which is the vocational education and training. We came specifically into the Netherlands in the framework of an activity of the ETF Network of Excellence of Vocational Centers. We're here to unpack the Dutch model, trying to understand a bit better how does it work in terms of modality and how public-private partnerships are implemented in VET in this country. At the same time, we take the opportunity for participants to have an exchange between peers.
The main goal of this study visit is sharing experience, meeting with colleagues, with people who are working in the same field, who have different experiences. They can put together all the challenges, all the problems, and making and finding solutions for them.
My expectation of this study visit to learn about the Netherlands vocational education system, how it works. Also, it's important to learn about the other participating countries' vocational education system.
I think a few things are very special in the education in the Netherlands. It's about that the schools has a lot of autonomy to make their own choices. that they are responsible for their quality assurance. They can also choose their own teachers, so they can do a lot of things themselves. So there they're building an ecosystem in the region. And I think at national level, they supply and they support vet schools to have a good proposition in the region.
The World Horti Center is a very special occasion. It's partly education, because students are going here to school. It is business. We have an exhibition of all kinds of companies from the horticultural industry. And we have 36 research compartments where students and professionals can do research. What I try to show them is at first a part of history of this area here, because it's a total area of greenhouses. I show them something about the future, how to grow in big cities, and then something about new developments like growing by LED light and all kind of new technology like robots and a special kind of collaboration between the industry and education. Of course, you need theoretical knowledge, but you need also practice experiences, and you need the right attitude. And competence-based learning, that's what we try to do here. Dividing is the new kind of multiplication. Yeah, so if you share knowledge, you bring each other to a higher level. And that's what you see here also in the Netherlands. For example, in horticulture, you have grower associations. There are 20, 25 competitors, but they are cooperating with everything. They tell each other the success stories, their failures, their mistakes, their whatever. So they bring each other to a higher level.
Yeah, we are now in the Duurzaamheidsfabriek, literally the sustainability factory. That's a field lab for the smart industry. I told the group in my presentation about our hybrid learning concept. That's a very important concept for us. In connection with the experts from the industry, from the health sector. And we made a tour around the Duurzaamheidsfabriek to show them all the facilities. We are part of a community, a regional community, where we work together with the students, companies. So it's part of a community, and it's a physical space where we can work together.
The STC Group is the leading educational institute for maritime transport and logistics. What's very important is to try and collaborate also with other countries, not only cultural, but also business-wise and also therefore educational-wise, to learn from each other and to evolve education.
There is a lot of things to take away to my country from these 3 days. First of all, I am very impressed in these 3 days during the study visit. They have a very innovative and green approach on especially agriculture in other sectors. I got it very impressive. I learned the Netherlands and the other countries' approach and challenges on vocational education. And I shared my own country's challenges, approach on vocational education. It's good knowledge sharing. It was good knowledge sharing between us. Of course, it's very important to participate such activities because you know the other countries' approaches, other countries' challenges. Some countries are ahead of us, already gone that way, already solved that problems, so we can learn from them. Actually, there is a lot of things to take away to my country from these 3 days. I think everything was important in generally, but like the green is, it's about green thinking. It was the new approach to me.
It's always interesting to visit colleagues, to ask questions and get the right answers from them, how they implement that mission that we all have. And I think the experience from colleagues, how they popularize that system in their countries was the main important takeaway from here. I think main challenge for that system is new technologies and learn how to use it and how to teach how to use new technologies, simulators and new programs, new softwares. And I think the most important and most interesting thing was that part when we tried to use simulations and simulators in colleges. This tour really motivated me to go to my country, to go my college and motivate them to be the part of the VET system, because without business support, VET can do nothing, I think.
The European Training Foundation is an agency of the European Union based in Italy, in Turin, working in the area of external action policies of the European Union. We do work with neighbor countries and we work in a specific domain, which is the vocational education and training. We came specifically into the Netherlands in the framework of an activity of the ETF Network of Excellence of Vocational Centers. We're here to unpack the Dutch model, trying to understand a bit better how does it work in terms of modality and how public-private partnerships are implemented in VET in this country. At the same time, we take the opportunity for participants to have an exchange between peers.
The main goal of this study visit is sharing experience, meeting with colleagues, with people who are working in the same field, who have different experiences. They can put together all the challenges, all the problems, and making and finding solutions for them.
My expectation of this study visit to learn about the Netherlands vocational education system, how it works.
Hello, everyone. So we are all back. I see from numbers that you're all still alive. Just let me go to the gallery a second to see how many of you actually you are still there. Okay, I see less and less camera on and now more and more camera on. Okay, thank you so much for still being with us. And I'm sorry for the voice. I just come out from a very, very deep flu. I think that we can actually move. So for you to remember, from time to time, I go to the gallery view and I see if you are there, because I need to see your faces and your smile. This is what encourages most this remote setup, let's say. So I think we can start with a very important panel, which is for us session number 8, connecting the dots, vocational excellence and internationalization, moving forward practices and policies. This man will be basically led by Manuel, who will also introduce our speakers, and I will actually be the bad cop. So I will come from time to time on screen just to ring my famous bell and to remind to keep the time. I see Manuel is on the phone because we are actually searching one of the panelists who is lost in connection. So allow me to take this time. Perhaps, what do you think? I'm talking to the tech producer to introduce.
Yes, may I interrupt you? There is one comment from Anna Zakarian from the chat, thanking Florian for the previous sessions and for the exchange of opinions, and saying that we also, as Albania Skills, have taken national initiative to make together different stakeholders working in career guidance, and so also moving in the country, especially in the regions where none is talking about career guidance. Just another message from Albania highlighting the importance. And also she says, it is extremely appreciated by municipalities, youth and other actors. As said, the cooperation with other countries and learning from their experience is extremely important for our work. Thanks a lot, Anna, for adding this into the chat and adding even more importance to career guidance, as also presented by Florian in the past session. Thanks, Simona.
Thanks to you, Maria, really. You see, Maria, she has this journalistic approach. There is nothing to do. She immediately cherry-picked the point and she put it while I'm talking and entertaining. So thank you so much, Maria, really. Allora, Manuel, shall I introduce the speaker? Will you tell me what to do? I'm in your hands.
Thank you, because thank you very much, Simona and everyone. Yes, yes, you will introduce the speakers. I only want to give some remarks on the importance of this panel, because I think VET Excellence really one of the drivers to put vocational education and training in the international scenario for many years. I think now the ambition of vocational education, let's say, was to have this parity of esteem with higher education, on which also to learn from higher education how higher education is internationalized. Vocational education wanted to be there. I think it started 20 years ago, this ambition also from the European perspective through the Copenhagen process, which really brought into the agenda of vocational education in Europe. And of course, we work with Europe, with our neighborhood. This ambition on internationalizing vocational education excellence indeed is an opportunity for all of us, and to work together to try to understand better how to move the agenda forwards, how to really learn capacities, how from the Network for Excellence we try to become a tool and modestly and a space for centers of excellence to be international, to gain these capacities, and also to understand better what they are doing, how they are doing it, and how to progress. And for this, before Simona present the panelists, this panel tried to brief on that, and through different angles and positions, the European Commission position, our ETF role, also the role of the regions in Europe and leading regions on vocational education, like this is the case of the country Basque, and also the national perspective, which is Switzerland, and also COBE's perspective. Having said that, Simona, I pass the floor to you to introduce our distinguished speakers, and the best is to come always in ENE.
Okay, not always in life, but at least in ENE. Okay, allora, first panelist. It is like, the Olympic Games presentation, and I'm sorry again for the pronunciation. Inigo Aretegui, Director of Internationalization, Trinca, Spain. Mamma mia, we all have very difficult names, allow me to say so. Then Jose Oberson Mau from Movetia, Switzerland. The tech producer can little by little add our guest. Can you confirm me that Tamara is connected at the end?
Yes, Tamara.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Tamara is here. Otherwise, we have a lot of Kobis here also, but Tamara.
Tamara Zakarashvili, Director, Construction College, Construct 2, Experience, Georgia. And last but not least, of course, is Mr. Joao Santos from European Commission DG Employment. Hi, Joao. So hi. I just thank you all for being with us.
And Julian.
And Julian, sorry, Julian, they didn't put you in the script. So it's also my fault because you're too important. It goes by itself that you are there. So Julian Stanley, ETF colleague, and of course, a senior expert. Then, before passing the floor to Manuel and disappearing, just few rules. I will appear only when you see the bell, you go over time, and the bad cop come. Otherwise, I will be behind the scene, which is not really me, but okay, I will adapt myself for this time. Having said so, please put in the chat whatever question you have, but also tell us in the chat what has been the most interesting part of the ENE event. We want to build from our mistakes and from our strengths. So please tell us what was the most interesting part. Manuel and distinguished panelists, the floor is yours. Thank you. Manuel?
Thank you, Simona. I think you were here with us also in this panel because you will have to stop us. We have a lot of things to talk, but I think our distinguished colleagues should give answer to main two questions, indeed, and you will keep the time alive, Simona. So this panel indeed is to understand better how this excellence dimension in vocational education is evolving and supporting, the policies and the systems, to become more relevant at the international level. And from this beautiful spectrum of partners, the main question is, what are the updated developments in your organization to develop vocational education and international dimension. I think we are going to start by Joao, because Joao, our big friend, big brother, big European authority, I think Joao should please open this distinguished panel and please brief us on your position. Thank you, Joao. The floor is
Thank
yours.
you, Jose Manuel, and good morning to everyone. First, a warm word of thank you to the ETF for the leadership in promoting the international dimension of COVES, and this event today I think is a good example. So congratulations to all of the colleagues in the ETF. And now responding to your question, well, in fact, the European Union is promoting, supporting this idea of internationalization of vocational education and training for many years. It's nothing new. If you look at the Treaty of Rome already, it already has a specific article on VET, and there you already can see this international dimension. In fact, quite a lot of people think that Erasmus Plus was the initial support of the European Union, for example, for mobility on higher education, and then it was extended to VET. But in fact, if you look at the history of European VET, in 1963, we had the first program on mobility on VET, mobility in the sense of internationalization of VET, and it was only for VET. So for higher education, it came much after, I think in 1987. But just to say that the internationalization of VET has been a constant thread throughout European history in supporting VET. And if you also look at recent policy documents, be it the Council recommendation, the Osnabrück Declaration, this idea of internationalizing VET is always there. And we do it not because we want to save the world, but I think it's understanding that we have a lot to learn from each other, that Europe has, of course, good practices to exchange with other countries, but we have a lot to learn from other countries as well. And I think this is an important message to pass. And so we have this policy drive that I say it's in the treaty in Article 163 right now that has this demand for internationalization. It's in the policy documents, the Council recommendation, and of course the financial instruments. And Erasmus Plus, I would say, is the most important of those. And even there you see internationalization that goes beyond the European Union. We're talking now of, for example, supporting mobility, and you know that the current program allows this, to any country of the world, and also receiving learners. And most of our projects in Erasmus Plus are now open also to countries outside the European Union. And therefore, if you look, for example, the COVES, which I think is the most relevant element in this context, the COVES is open to any country all over the world. And I can tell you that, for example, in the last years, in the COVES we've seen a growing participation of countries outside Europe. In the most recent call, we had more than 1,500 organizations from 59 countries over the world. So more countries from outside Europe than in Europe participating in these COVES, which is, one of the results we wanted. We wanted to use the Centers of Vocational Excellence as a way of bringing more partners to cooperate on this initiative, and also to expand that the VET centers are not only looking at themselves, but working very closely with companies, regional development authorities, with public employment service, and so on. So I think the COVES have managed to achieve those two objectives. And once again, just mention that the European Training Foundation is our sort of ambassador in terms of VET, of developing this international dimension of VET. We have a specific service level agreement with the ETF that we are going to now expand precisely so that the ETF can bring the partners that, for example, are today in this event and help us together in modernizing VET, not only in Europe, but all over the world. And of course, the ETF, the essence of the ETF, was created not only for the COVES, of course, but as a way of being a bridge between vocational centers and what is being done in terms of skills development all over the world with Europe. So, Manuel, I would just leave, because I know that I will be kicked out in a few minutes. I'll just leave my first intervention on that.
This panel, Joao, thank you very much. This panel could be matter of a big conference, so don't worry. Julian, you can perhaps give more details also on what Joao said about our role, what are developments that also we have in the pipeline, and please, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Manuel, and thank you, Joao, for, as ever, inspiring us and tasking us with great responsibility, which we take on, but we're pleased to be there. I mean, I think that the perception of ETF, from all the work we've done with our partners, is that there is an enormous appetite amongst skills providers for internationalization of different kinds. They want to learn from one another. They want to have opportunities for mobility. They want to share practices. They want to transfer innovation. They're interested also in opportunities for collaborations, for doing things together, as well as learning from one another. And we're working within the agreement that Joao mentioned to try and develop tools, to try and develop instruments which makes that possible. Not only in particular face-to-face meetings or in virtual face-to-face meetings, but in a more sustained, ongoing, continuous way over the years. And we're developing a self-assessment tool which will provide opportunities, which is called ISAT Cove, which will provide opportunities for skills providers to share their practices, to access the practices of one another, to make it easier for them to compare their own level of performance and their own strategies against those of other centres all around the world, but which will also go beyond that, and which will provide opportunities for them to come together in networks and in clusters to develop a higher level of trust, where they can share in more detail what they're doing, and they can also self-assess in a collaborative fashion. So they're drawing upon their experiences, one of another, in order to work out not only where they've got to, but how they can improve their practices. What are the ways forward? What are the things which have worked? What are the things which have failed in other centres, comparable centres around the world? So we see this this tool as a practical way which will enable sharing, but also collaboration, to continue on into the future in all kinds of different ways that we can't anticipate at the minute, whether it be in sector groups or territorial groups or groups which are taking a particular project, an urgent project for a short period of time. And in this way, we hope to provide a sort of a structure whereby these collaborations and these sharings can continue into the future. This will build on the work of ENESAT, but we feel that in this way we can improve upon ENESAT and make it more fit for international collaboration and less of a tool simply for making comparisons. So that's my main point on this one.
Thank you, Julian. Thank you very much for these insights on our developments to move to this international dimension through international tool. I don't know to whom continue, if Íñigo or Jose, because I don't know if at this point of the game national ecosystems should be first or regional ecosystems should be first. But I think I'm going to pass the floor to Jose, because I see Íñigo still writing, so I leave you writing. Jose, please, Switzerland, Movetia, we are very much pleased to be with you today. What is in your pipeline? What are your developments? What is your vision on your outstanding VET system, but also on developments on internationalization? How do you see all these debates from Switzerland? Thank you, Jose.
Thank you very much. Muchas gracias, Manuel. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm pleased to be invited because, as representing Switzerland, we are very fortunate to be invited in a EU kind context. It's even more fortunate than having been qualified for the World Cup. So I'm very happy to be there. So the Switzerland context is there's varied issues we are addressing. So Movetia, the organization I I represent is actually the Federal Agency for Mobility Exchange and International Cooperation for educational activities. So our core business is mobility and exchange, and we are in this COVI and international partnership issue. It's a kind of in an infancy state, but our strategy is really pushing this. But you have just given me a bridge in terms of the priority, national or regional development. We shouldn't. You cannot disconnect it. It's very important to be connected. This is why we are very happy to having been connected with ETF and the ENE and the COVI-related activities, but also mobility and exchange is very important for us, because we see every day that talking about excellence, just to remind of, it's not a state or condition. Excellence is a journey. Is a journey for collaborative learning and expertise to create opportunities, employment, etc., and even in exchange and mobility for young people, and even trainers and educators coming together, bringing the dots together in order to mention the title of the panel. So it's absolutely vital to make use of these connections based on mobility, but also fostering even more the cooperation aspect. So since Switzerland, due to this bit complicated access to some platforms and EU opportunities, so we try to be creative. We are very open to different kind of activities to foster cooperation partnerships at all educational levels. So COVI is one, but it's not the only line we try to focus on in order to bring people together. And a very important issue for us right now, this is also the context having been established, this cooperation with ETF and even more to follow, is really this observation that we may improve in connecting and bring the dots together and bring best practices together and bring international bilateral experiences together. So maybe I can mention some other aspects after the second questions. So networking, matchmaking activities, and the development, the reinforcing of cooperative learning based on COVIs, based on collaborative.
Thank you, Jose. Leave us something for the second question. Thank you,
Jose.
Sorry to be the bad cop. I hate.
Thank you, Jose. Yes, Simona is the bad cop here. But yes, we see clearly that. Thank you very much for your input. That also the status of Switzerland is making you aware on, let's say, VET community opening doors, connecting and networking with other countries and through international cooperation. It's a new momentum indeed. Inigo, I'm going now to you because you know, Basque Country is our main inspiration examples, not only in Spain but beyond, and Europe, and you know, and Canada and Australia also. And you are very much connected with the world, and you are becoming a referent worldwide because you are doing very good job indeed. And congratulations for that. So what do you have in the pipeline, and what are, let's say, the main updates that you can share with us?
Thank you, Manuel. Thank you for your kind words and for exaggerating what we are doing. Now, we are leading one of these new Erasmus Scope projects, one of the last call, first call of the new funding period, and we are working in advanced manufacturing. So our goal is to make local and regional advanced manufacturing ecosystems thrive through this project. So, and to do that, we understand that these ecosystems should continue working at local and regional level. That's what they should do, but they should work or they should be connected at international level as well. So we are bringing together VET centers and stakeholders who are working in the field, but we should emphasize that the goal of any of those VET centers or stakeholders is not internationalization, their goal is the training and the services they provide at local, for the local communities, at local level, or regional, or national, or whatever level. And the internationalization or the international dimension is a way of improving their local activity. And yeah, we should avoid or help them not to become outdated or obsolete in the field of advanced manufacturing. And yeah, that's what we believe, that the international dimension will improve their local activity. And we can mention different ways, but well, we hope that this international activity will improve the teachers' knowledge, and they will know more about technology, and they will know more about the trends that are coming, because this is not a local thing, this is an international thing. And we also think that the competencies of students will improve through their involvement in international projects. I think there's quite some evidence about that, especially gathered through Erasmus and so on. We also think that it will bring awareness to the local and regional level of what's happening in the field of advanced manufacturing, but it could work for any other field in other parts of the world. And they can also share experience and knowledge with other agents who are working in the field of advanced manufacturing, and it can open their perspective, and they can get new ideas from other institutions who are working in the same field around the globe. And yeah, it can create new opportunities for new projects and for new businesses and for new things. So yeah, but basically we think that we should continue working at regional level or at local level. That's the main focus of our activity. But we firmly believe that the international dimension could help in improving this work. And I would even say that if you are not connected at international level in a field such as advanced manufacturing, it will be just a matter of some years. Even if right now you are the most advanced in the world, it will be just a matter of 5 or 10 years, I don't know, or maybe 2 years to get outdated and to be out of the game. So that's how we are focusing internationalization.
Thank you very much, Íñigo. Eskerrik asko. I see very well your tips, and we thank you very much because are very practical ones on the debate. Tamar, I know you are very busy. I thank you very much. We have this is because you are doing very good job from your college, and also because you are a distinguished member in ENE that participated in several discussions on internationalization for entrepreneurial covers, green activities, etc. So this is why also we have a lot of COVIDs here that also later, hopefully we will have some time for questions. Tamar, what are you doing in very few words? Thank you.
Thank you so much. It is my pleasure to be part of ENE, and it's my favorite people. I love working with you and sharing experience. So I want to take a moment and share very briefly what we are doing in Georgia. So as you know, Georgia is not currently part of EU. So Erasmus Plus is something new to Georgia. So to start, to understand general conditions and situation in Georgia, vocational education started new reforms recently, like I would say like maybe 10 years ago, we started the renovation of the VET system. So the image that VET system has in Georgia, we're struggling to destroy the old image of Soviet times, you know. So globalization and internalization is one of the most important things. If we do not bring in the global and international mindsets and thinking in the vocational educational system, this will not, the improvement of the system will last forever. So it is crucially important to globalize the vocational system in Georgia. If regarding the challenges, so one of the challenges I wanted to mention is the language barrier that vocational, not only students, but also the teachers are having trouble with. So if we put these people in the exchange program or TOT program, one of the challenges we have is a language barrier. Another very important thing I think would be interesting for ETF is the fact that funding is something new to vocational system. We're not, the staff and administration is not aware of specificality of the funding system and resources. So my idea for ETF would be maybe, if it's possible, to organize on the ministry level, maybe, and some type of training system that would bring us more insight how to organize this type of events, how to look for the resources, and what is this Erasmus Plus, because it's very new in Georgia and we do need more information on that. And also, if ETF and Erasmus Plus cooperates and plans together some type of event, that will be very, very crucial for the beneficiaries like us, and we could benefit, not we, but students and teachers, and the process would benefit a lot in that regard. And also, if we could use not only just one-time appointment, but generally if Erasmus would have a supportive type of attitude throughout the year, that would be more beneficial, and the outcome would be vast, definitely. Thank you very much. That was my brief overview of the situation.
Thank you, Tamar. Thank you for giving us more work, indeed, with your proposal. But yes, you are perfectly right. It's something that we have in our pipeline and agenda for next year, because it's not only Georgia, other countries that are asking us for fulfilling this role, and also transfer, as Joao said, from our role of ambassadors, what is there on the funding opportunities given by Erasmus Plus and for other programs, but also, you know, about the strategical thinking on how to make internalization operational in some of your countries at national level, but on different levels. So you started with the challenges already. I'm going to pass the floor to Joao. We have perhaps each of us 2 golden minutes, more or less, to implement this panel in the right timing on the challenges from the European Commission side also. Thank you, Joao.
We can hear you, Joao.
You are
sorry.
Suspense,
I hope you can hear me now, right?
Yes, perfect.
Good. So building on what has already been said, I think we all have an understanding that we are all facing common challenges. I mean, be it in Brussels or Tbilisi or wherever, we're facing common challenges. I would just mention, you know, the climate change is obviously one, digitalization, artificial intelligence, robotization. I mean, what all of this means for our societies is common wherever we are in the world. In fact, this morning I was in a conference before joining. I was in a conference with Australians where we are coming to the same conclusions. And I think what we have to do from the education and training field is to collaborate more and keep up the momentum. If you look at what the ETF has done in the last few years with this ENE network, and you are an example of it today, is quite amazing. But I think a big challenge we have now is to not lose the momentum, to not think that we've done what should be done, and we continue doing it. And that's why we are working very closely with the ETF to see how we can expand this international dimension of COVES. I'd like to mention, in relation to what has already been said, that you know, this momentum is in fact taking place. If you look at a conference we organized very recently together also with the ETF and the Basque authorities, the 2022 Forum on Vocational Excellence, we brought you know, 88 countries from all over the world, be it online or physically in San Sebastian, to talk about these issues and to talk about how COVES can better develop and support, you know, the young people in getting skills that are necessary for the world of tomorrow, but also for upskilling and reskilling of adults, how COVES can support this change that is happening. And I would like to mention, just before I pass the floor to the other colleagues, that Erasmus Plus call for 2023 has just been published on the 23rd of November. I would strongly suggest you have a look at it. On LinkedIn, I've posted many articles on this, on the new call on 2023. We will have 52 million euros to support these 13 projects that we intend to approve next year. And once again, I remind you that countries from outside the European Union are very much welcome to join as well, including Switzerland, by the way. And we are looking forward to see you and to see you participating. And I'd like to mention that on the 27th of January, please put this down on your agendas, we will have an information session co-organized by the Commission and the European agency EAC, EA, and in which we will provide more details on what you need to do to find partners for these COVE projects, and also to understand what are the procedures to submit your applications. The applications will be open, I think, until the 8th of June 2023. And as I said, 27th of January, join us for this information session in which we'll provide you with all the necessary details on what you need to do in order to apply for this Erasmus funding we will have. And it will continue every year. We'll have other calls until at least 2027, in which we are promoting through the Centers of Vocational Excellence this internationalization dimension. I would just like to mention, and I think Inigo put a very good point, that we are not doing internationalization for the sake of doing it, just for, you know, being nice and everyone does it. It's not the objective. The objective is really to internationalize in the sense that by joining forces, by understanding what is happening in South Africa, in Canada, Australia, Georgia, wherever, that we can learn together and improve what we are doing at the local level. So the ultimate objective is that at the very local level, VET centers are doing what is right, providing young people and adults with the skills they need. And the internationalization is just a way of doing it. It's a way of bringing, sharing experiences and doing what is our job best at the local level. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Joao. Manuel, can I say a word?
Please,
allora,
say a word.
I have prepared the cup if you keep the time. I don't know what to do more. So I have a small cup, and this will be given if we keep the time. You still have like 6-7 minutes. There is 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, I have to count in Italian. We have still
five minutes.
4 people left. Very interesting topic, inspiring. Do your best. I fully trust you. Go.
Thank you, Simona. It's super interesting, you know, to understand how to lifelong learning without borders, with this at the end of the day, this panel about. Jose, 1 minute, golden minutes for the challenges, or Julian. Jose first.
Yeah.
I'm going to conclude with Julian.
I can do it within a minute. I sent you some points. I will just pick one issue in order to avoid the kind cop. So intervention, a very practical issue in terms of connecting the dots. Giving you an example, I know Sandra Mangas is here. So, for example, in terms of those so wonderful activities in this field of entrepreneurship, education, and things like that. So you have done a great work in your entrepreneurship classrooms, right, Sandra? And I think I've just visited a week ago in Switzerland an initiative presenting their solution in terms of how we can evaluate entrepreneurship competencies. And I know that you're, Sandra, you're addressing these very complicated and complex issues. So that's an example. We can improve a lot in terms of making more visible and constructing a better Tinder kind initiatives. I know there are many platforms, matchmaking platforms, etc. But I think we can improve a lot because there's so many wonderful initiatives around in and outside Europe. So thank you for working together. Was it a minute? I don't know. Thank you.
Perfect, Jose. Inigo, your golden minutes on challenges you see for internationalization and vocational excellence from your position. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, the challenges I foresee are related to making these local ecosystems thrive while being connected at the international level. So Joao Santos has said several times that it's about thinking global and acting local. So to me, the first challenge is how to balance the international and the local dimensions. So because internationalization should not be the goal of any VET provider, that's clear to me, because they are placed in a base, they work there, and that's what they should do. But as we said, they can benefit from being connected at the international level. So maintaining this balance between the global and the local is a key challenge. And I would say that any COVE project which manages to balance it will be successful. The second challenge is to balance the role of experts and real practitioners, because in the end, we are talking about an initiative for VET. So if VET centers do not implement any measure, then the initiative will fail. And of course, we should involve some experts and some consultants, some policymakers, some researchers, and so on. But in many cases, they are very far away from the day-to-day reality of a vet center. And we should remember always that the initiative will work only if the vet centers are implementing measures. I know the call is addressing it, and it asks for vet centers and companies to be involved in every project, but we should even emphasize it more. So, for example, my alarm bells, and this is a bit controversial, but my alarm bells usually go off when I start hearing a lot of talk about entrepreneurship and greening and internationalization. I feel like I'm among experts. These people are not implementing things, usually. Then, yeah, the third challenge, and this is more controversial, is, okay, so I think I should shut up. Yeah, so I'll leave it there.
No, you can finish, please.
Okay, so yeah, the third one, and this is even more controversial, and this will probably earn me some enemies, but well, I don't really care. We should keep intruders at bay, and this means that there are some institutions making business with Erasmus. They are not really interested in vet excellence. They are interested in their business or in their career. And we should, I mean, if I were the European Commission, I would close the doors of the initiative to all those institutions. I know this is very controversial. This is what I should do.
Thank you, Inigo. Indeed,
and the fourth one is, and the last one is to make these platforms to have a continuity. So these are projects, and it's very easy to maintain the activities of a project while the project is running. But then what happens when the funding is over? And this is very important for these platforms. I would say if they have sense, if they make sense, they will continue. So yeah.
So basta. Thank you. Thank you very much. Indeed, we do hope also ENE will continue and this platform will continue, because this excellent debate is informing on the need to continue discussing on this. Julian, indeed, what are our challenges? What are our challenges? ETF.
Yeah, I mean, very quickly. I mean, the challenge which particularly concerns me is the fact that participating internationally is not at the moment accessible to many vet centers and vet schools. With the possible exception of mobility, which seems to be more widely accessible, it's only a very few centers and schools who can fully participate in the internationalization, who've got the language skills, who've got the capacity, who've got the networks to put together strong Erasmus bids, for example. And as we know, only very few win money, although many make applications. And many can't even put together applications because they don't have the capacity to do so. So the challenge, it seems to me, is to find ways of extending and making accessible international sharing, international projects, international exchanges. I think we need to explore a bit more carefully the different kinds of interactions which different kinds of centers want, which they've got capacity for. We need to find ways of developing more intermediate, more sort of first steps levels of collaboration, so that you don't just need a very high level of capacity in order to enter into the game. So these are some of the things which I think ETF should be exploring in the context of ENE, and in the context also of the new tools that we're developing for the Commission.
Thank you, Julian. Indeed, the good news is that we will report, we will focus on reporting also on the contents of these panels, on the dilemmas and also on the opportunities, and not all this good discussion that we have now. We need more time. Simona, sorry for that. We try to do our best, and I congratulate my colleagues, because I hope that has been an interesting discussion. And thank you very much all. Simona, please be good with us. Thank you. Sorry.
Laura, you are asking me a lot. No, first of all, thank you so much, really. I know it was a conference by itself with the level of panelists we had. Just a final word. In fact, there is no COVID without internationalization. So really, thanks a lot to all of you, and also to Joao for always pushing us doing better. This is fundamental for our work. A deep thank from ETF to all of you. And I think I pass the floor to my super distinguished colleague, Maria, that will guide us through a little moment of interaction, because I see we are still at the same number as the beginning, even a bit more, which means that all alive. I don't go for any analogical feedback, but I need Maria. Floor is yours. Please wake us up.
Thanks a lot, Simona. So I have a very honorable task of waking you up, dear colleagues. So please prepare to interact with us. First, I would like to ask you a question, and if we can do a word cloud in the chat of, yeah, okay, we have already Mentimeter online. So please write a relevant word which describes in your view COVES, so Centers of Vocational Excellence, action to support vocational and education training internationalization. So how would you describe it? Please use the link in the chat. There is a link to Mentimeter. You can write a word or two. Please be brief. And so again, the question here is, what is one or two relevant words which describe in your view COVES action to support that internationalization? The big one that comes up right now is development. Thank you so much for the contribution. Capacity building, excellent.
Maria, sorry if I may, link of Mentimeter is in the chat for those.
Yes, thank you. Thanks before. Sorry. Yeah. No, that's excellent. Thank you so much. So networking, partnerships, good practices, excellent. Cooperation is the biggest one so far, so there were more than one people replying to that one. Excellent. Oh, now we have all raining words: learning, improvement, mobility, greening again here, also from our yesterday session on Greta and greening and green and digital transition. Commitment, collaboration, selling products, interesting. Learning, exchange of know-how, true. Structural approach, so we need a bit of a structure. Let me have a look. Best practices sharing, so we have good practices and best practices sharing, so we need to exchange our knowledge. Capacity building, interesting. What else is coming? Portability of skills, so when we can take our skills and use them elsewhere in education, training, or labor market. Curricular, interesting. I think curricular must have been with something else coming together with another word. What else? Raising aspirations. So we are talking here also about managing expectations and aspirations when we speak about internationalization of vocational education and training. But I would say, from what I see right now in the cloud, that the three biggest words that means that most of you have indicated them is cooperation, networking, and best practices. Thanks a lot. Now, we go to the second question. What would be the main support Centers of Vocational Excellence need to internationalize their mandate in their action? So if you want your COVES to go on to the international level, what do you need? And the options are: continue learning from good examples, more information to participate in international calls/projects, engage with ministries, employers, company, research centers for building holistic strategic approach. Ministries should deliver regulation, legislative support, and frameworks, more resources, funding, human, you name it, to support mobility of staff, students, more support actually for staff and teachers to continue learning and developing. All of the options above, or some other issues. So far, I think more support for staff and teachers is equally important than getting more information to participate in the international calls and projects. Now we have also a bronze winner is more resources, meaning funding and human resources to support mobility of staff and students. Yeah, so these are, I think there's still three winners. So more information, more support to staff and teachers, more resources, funding and more information about the international projects that you can participate. Interesting. Yeah, I think at this point, Simona, I'm handing over to you because we have a clear picture of what is needed actually to make internationalization of it possible.
And Maria, do we have by chance any question in chat that we could get from? Let me check myself to live.
I think there's one question coming
from Azerbaijan.
Yes.
Please do.
So the question is about Erasmus Plus Call 2023 and VET-related application. Are the COVIs allowed to somehow link their project proposals with the ETF NETWORK initiative? I think that's the question actually for Joao, who mentioned the call before. Joao.
Yeah, I would just say, I mean, link you can, but each project will be assessed by what is the award criteria that we have on the call. So, I mean, of course, if you explain that your project is already somehow building on relations you managed to establish within the ENE, of course, that's an added point, because one of the award criteria or sub-criteria precisely looks at the quality of the partnerships, and that can help you reinforce the validity of your project. But be aware that at the end of the day, we have a panel of experts, external experts, that are looking into each of the projects, and they will have to look and award the points to each project according to what is specific in the award criteria. But I mean, what you said makes sense, because if you look at the award criteria, this element of the quality and the spread of the partnerships is an important element.
Thanks a lot, Joao. Thanks. I think it replies the question that we received. Yes, and in fact, Elvin Mejida from Azerbaijan is adding, and is that a big added value in addition to the award criteria issues? That's definitely, thanks a lot. Thanks to Joao for replying. From the chat, I think this is it, Simona. So
okay, thank you so much, Maria. Allow me the right to call you back in case we have more questions, or please interrupt me anytime.
Okay.
Thanks again to our last panelists. So we are actually moving little by little to the final session to the semi-final session, in fact, of our event, which is actually our session number 9. Which is connecting the dots, vocational excellence and COVES, actually how to connect policy learning with policy making. Well, that's the real challenge, allow me to say, from my personal experience. I won't be alone in this session, because actually I will be with Yorgos Edzitimos, head of unit in ETF, who is actually also one of my 2 bosses, by the way, for you all to know. So please be nice. Yorgos will lead the session, and I just would like to set a few rules of the game. We have 5 countries that will share with us their experience. We will hear the voice of the national authorities and hear more from the field of the COVE. The idea is to have a maximum of 6-7 minutes by country, which means that Yorgos will ask 2 different questions whenever both representatives are there, let's say. And then we really count on your punctuality in delivering your input, because your input is very, very much needed also for us to go ahead in the next steps of ENE. I will use again my bell. I know it's not nice, but it's just a way not to interrupt people. I pass the floor to Yorgos, who I guess want to give us a bit of content introduction, and then we will call speakers by speakers. One after the other.
Thank you, Simona, and good day to everybody. Nice to see you all. It looks like a nice big family, familiar faces. Thank you. Just to elaborate on the point of Simona, we have an agreement with Simona that she will be for a change the bad one, so she will intervene, and I will be for a change the good one. So it's a good deal for today, but it's a message for the speakers that they might be interrupted if they go beyond time. Now, in this session, we're trying something different to couple together the Center of Excellence with a policy shaper or a policy maker from the country. Remember that from the beginning of this work for ETF, back in 2018, one of the elements that we brought into the discussion was this idea of transmission of excellence. And we were referring to the cooperation, of course, between centers of excellence, but also to the cooperation between centers of excellence and the policy shapers. It's important that what we learn from the centers of excellence is converted into policies that support other centers, that they support the VET system. So this is the session we want to tackle, let's say, this idea of transmission of excellence and how it works from the policy learning to the policy making. So we have our panelists and we will ask basically the same question, but from a slightly different angle. The idea is how the policymakers and shapers learn from the good practice of centers of vocational excellence. And the question to the centers is, how do you influence that? How do you go to the policy shapers and policymakers? We have distinguished guests today. Simona will present them just in a second, but let me say that today in this session we have with us Irina Shumik. Special mention for her because she's the Director General for VET of the Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine. And as you all know, the situation in the country because of the Russian invasion is very, very difficult. So I'm grateful for her time to be with us today. We will give her the floor first and we will hear from her first. But I pass the floor to Simona to say one word about the speakers and then we start with Irina. Back to you, Simona.
Yes, actually, we have quite a few countries today with us, and we have Morocco, we have the Republic of Turkey, we have the Republic of Moldova, we have Ukraine, and we have Kazakhstan. I think that I will start immediately with Irina Shumik because, as Georgios said, the big effort is there, and I think we cannot express with words the gratitude for having you with us. Thank you so much. Floor is yours, and deep thanks again.
Hello, dear colleagues. Thank you, Simona. Thank you, Georgios. It's a big pleasure to be with you today. Actually, yes, really. Right now, that's not easy to manage anything in Ukraine because of our constant blackouts. We still don't have electricity in our apartments, in our offices. So electricity is limited, connections is limited, and sometimes you have only electricity for several hours per day. And in this situation, of course, that's hard to provide any work or to provide any services, and especially that's a huge challenge for our also vocational institutions, and not just vocations, also for universities, for schools, how to be in this situation, how to try to reach our students, and how to provide actually services at certain level, how to guarantee quality assurance, how to be with quality assurance, how to be sure that our students, they will successful. And in this situation, sometimes it could be like one point in our mind that sometimes maybe centers of excellence is not the most important thing in this situation when we want to discuss on what we want to work. But in general, what we have in our minds and what we're trying to reach, that we want to continue in our development of vocational education, in our modernization of vocational education. And of course, we have our projects with the European Investment Bank on establishment 9 centers of excellence, and with BMZ, with the German government, on establishment 3 more centers of excellence. We have schools which were chosen for this work and these projects for this renovation. But sometimes, for me personally, that could be very hard issue when we are talking about like policy making and policy development. So we are thinking what should be the first, and that's like the same situation with egg and chicken. So what was the first? What is the secret, chicken or egg? And in this situation, we are continuing, especially in our conditions, on what we want, on what we can to do in this situation. And if before the COVID times, before the war, we were extremely worked hard on policy development, we have prepared draft of the special regulations for centers of excellence. We developed our draft of new law on vocational education, and in this draft we have special articles for which actually are will regulate the activity and all the issues of centers of excellence establishment and further operation. But in this situation right now, we see that for Ukraine, the best way to start with producing something, work on some piloting of centers of excellence. And I think that that would be our way on establishment and development centers of excellence, of professional excellence, is how we can call it. And in this situation, we have started from the preparation work, and we are working on the establishment of different network and connections with other very good experienced and developed vet schools in different countries. We are trying to know more how they work, what is the system of financing, how they work with students, how they work with teachers, especially the also issue of work-based learning, how it organized in those schools, and how to be sure that that will be the best of the best school, for example. And we are very grateful for all activities of European Training Foundation with ENE, and of course with special network of and activities for centers of excellence within the Danube region strategy. So now we are taking very good lessons, and our schools, they are trying to participate almost in each session and to understand how to be like more effective and how do not make maybe some mistakes, and how to choose the right way, which puzzles we need to combine to receive the whole picture. And in this situation, we are starting from the next year on the development, the concepts of centers of excellence within a European Investment Bank project on establishment of COE, and of course, those activities that we are exercising right now in Ukraine, and we are working on new standards development, on a new modular program. Of course, we have started working group on micro-credentials. That also was for us like a little bit surprising, but we see how we can use in this situation within the war, because we are extremely needed and well qualified, good qualified workforce specialists, but we have no time and we have no a lot of resources to provide these activities. So in our case, we are starting from chicken, I suppose. So we will have centers of excellence, and after that we'll share this concept and maybe improve this concept. Maybe our chicken will transform to swan, for example, in the future. So yeah, and that's a big pleasure. Unfortunately, I need to, sorry, I have some swoops, yeah, some sounds additional, sorry.
Thank you.
I think that I will turn off my microphone because that's allowed. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I will leave, but of course we will continue within our discussions.
Thank you, Irina. Thank you very much for your time and for your input to this discussion. And of course, we know that your time in this meetings is quite limited. We fully understand. Thank you for your commitment. That's a sign of excellence as well. Commitment, very crucial for excellence. So thank you, dear colleagues. We return back to the order of our speakers. So our next speaker is Mohammed, the project manager at the General Directorate Office of the Education Ministry, Morocco. Mohammed, good afternoon to you. The question we want you to address is how do you take into account, what are the policy developments and what do you learn from COPs? So the floor is yours.
You are muted, Mohammed. Do you have headset? Try to take them off.
Thank you very much.
Voila.
Perfect. I would like to speak in French, if you allow me. Alors, pour l'OFPPT, l'Office de la formation professionnelle et de la formation et de la promotion de travail, c'est à la fois un prescripteur de politique pour ces opérateurs de formation ou bien pour ces centres de formation, mais aussi un opérateur de formation qui regroupe plus de 400 centres de formation à travers le Maroc. Et depuis 2019, donc l'OFPPT a lancé un grand chantier de la réforme de la formation professionnelle qui s'inscrit dans le cadre de la feuille de route pour le développement de la formation professionnelle qui a été promulguée par Sa Majesté le Roi Mohamed VI. Dans cette feuille de route, nous avons un projet, c'est le projet numéro 1 qui porte sur la mise à niveau intégrée des centres de formation et l'excellence opérationnelle. Et à ce titre, donc, je suis chargé de mission au sein du cabinet de la direction générale en charge de l'excellence opérationnelle. Et dans le cadre du projet numéro 1 de la feuille de route, donc, nous avons lancé un grand chantier, tout d'abord de restructuration de l'offre de formation, à travers la révision de l'offre de formation existante, mais aussi le lancement de nouvelles filières de formation qui soient en lien avec les mutations du 21e siècle, en lien avec la transition écologique, la digitalisation, l'entrepreneuriat et j'en passe. Et nous avons également accompagné, et nous le faisons toujours, nous avons également accompagné nos centres de formation dans la modernisation de leurs infrastructures et de leurs équipements de formation. Et nous travaillons aussi sur la formation des formateurs et aussi sur la modernisation des outils de gestion. Donc, ces différents chantiers ont pour vocation bien évidemment, de réformer la formation professionnelle, mais aussi d'inscrire nos centres de formation dans la voie de l'excellence. Et donc, nous avons fait au sein de l'OFPPT de l'excellence dans la formation une locomotive ou un levier au service de la formation professionnelle. Et donc, notre approche que nous avons lancée depuis quelques mois, l'approche de l'excellence dans la formation professionnelle, c'est une approche qui est à la fois top-down et bottom-up. Top-down, parce que nous avons inscrit un certain nombre de lignes directrices et de politiques en matière de développement de l'excellence de la formation, mais aussi bottom-up, parce que les établissements de formation sont toujours incités à être plus autonomes, à prendre en main le développement de leur centre de formation. C'est également une approche, l'approche de l'excellence dans la formation professionnelle, c'est également une approche d'amélioration continue. L'excellence ne s'arrête jamais, donc c'est une quête perpétuelle de l'amélioration et c'est une quête perpétuelle du développement de nos centres de formation. Et nous accompagnons également les directeurs de centres dans le changement du mindset. Et ça s'inscrit également dans la conduite du changement, donc à travers notamment l'implémentation de nouveaux outils de nouveaux outils de gestion, l'implémentation aussi de nouvelles perspectives en lien avec l'internationalisation de nos centres de formation pour favoriser l'échange de bonnes pratiques avec d'autres centres à l'échelle internationale. Il y a aussi une autre dimension, c'est par rapport aux outils. Avec quels outils nous avons accompagné nos centres de formation, c'est surtout à travers des outils tels que, par exemple, l'auto-évaluation. C'est un mécanisme qui est très encouragé par ETF. Et donc, aujourd'hui, plus de 300 centres de formation ils font chaque année cet exercice de remise en cause à travers un référentiel d'évaluation que nous avons mis en place au niveau de l'OFPPT et ça permet aussi aux centres de définir leur propre plan d'action et de mener les actions nécessaires pour tout d'abord s'inscrire dans la conformité vis-à-vis de son référentiel et puis aller vers l'excellence. Et bien évidemment, on a deux types d'interventions. Il y a une intervention centrale que l'OFPPT doit assurer, surtout en termes d'investissement, par l'achat des équipements, par la formation des formateurs et aussi par l'ingénierie de formation. Et on a aussi un autre type d'appui, c'est un appui qui se fait au niveau régional ou au niveau local. Et donc, chaque acteur assume ses responsabilités et donc l'excellence devient une démarche collective dans laquelle tous les centres de formation doivent s'inscrire.
Thank you, Mohammed. And it's great news to hear that our self-assessment tool is helpful for the Centers of Excellence. That's the aim. It's a tool that ENE network is providing to its members and beyond that. So that's great news. We stay in Morocco, of course, and our next panelist is Najib. He comes from ASIF. ASIF is a Center of Excellence in our network and quite active one, I have to say. So good to see you, Najib. And the floor is yours. The question is the same. How do you think the experiences you have from your COF influence the policy making? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gogos and Simona, for the wonderful moderation of this panel and all this wonderful morning where we have learned a lot of places of the globe. And of course, special thanks to our colleague Irina from Ukraine. We all stand in solidarity with the Ukrainian people. I'll go straight, of course, to answering the question because I have limited time for that. So the way I see this question of policy making and policy learning is, of course, it's first of all a question of what is the global picture of general vocational education. Vocational education is a field where we have many players. Of course, there is somewhere a referee, but we have many players and stakeholders. We have ministries who are in charge of regulations and laws. We have industrials, employers. We have students. We have teachers and parents, etc. So all these people, I think, to my mind, inform somehow policy making. Even though some of them are really in the operationalization of vocational education. The way I want to explain this is through a storytelling, and it is a story of the foundation of the school I work for, which is EDIS. So it was around the first years of the decade of 1990 that a group of professionals, industrials of the textile sector, started a conversation with the public authorities in order to convince them to start a school for.
Najib, I'm really sorry. Your voice comes and goes. It's a bit a type of Robocop style. So we try to catch. It's very interesting. So just keep speaking as slowly as you are doing, and we try really to listen because it's very interesting. You have still 3 minutes. Go ahead. Sorry for interruption.
Yes, sorry. So I will slow down the pace. So this question, this conversation between the industrials of the textile sector and the government started and lasted almost 1 year or two. And the concept was that, or the argument or the rationale of the industry was that we are badly in need of technicians and engineers in the textile industry. We have sometimes, we fall sometimes under the need to bring in expatriates, which costs much more expensive to companies. And we want a school which will have a special status and a special way of governance. And governance based on the principle of public-private partnerships. So that was the process launch. It was a process of selling to the government a concept which didn't exist before. For the first time, a school built on the concept of public-private partnership. And so it was made in 1996, the school started. And after that, many schools were founded following this model of public partnerships, public-private partnerships, and most of them are successful. And I speak under the authority of my colleague Mohammed Sama from OFPPT. Still, this concept or this model is not perfect. As onlookers and operators, we see that we can still improve it through a process of building a continuous dialogue between practitioners and policymakers. So I have given you an example where industrials were somehow had the imagination of proposing a special status for centers, and it worked on because they found also. Okay, Simona, thank you very much. I will end up here.
Is there a final word you think that you will die if you don't say it? Say it, now or never.
Yes, the dearest concept to my heart is one day achieving a manual or a guide for public-private partnerships, where everybody who wants to start a public-private partnership school or center can follow the same guidelines everywhere. Thank you very much.
The how more than the what. Absolutely.
Thank you, Najib. I think what you said now at the end is great music in the ears of Manuel. He's working a lot for years now on the public-private partnerships, and I'm sure he can come up with material for that. We move now to the next couple of speakers from Turkey. So I would like to invite Mahmoud Birol Gezer from the Ministry of National Education of Turkey. Good afternoon, Mahmoud. Good to see you. We want to hear from you about the developments in the country, policy developments, and how they're influenced by Centers of Vocational Excellence. The floor is yours.
Merhabalar ETF yetkililerine ve tüm katılımcılarına öncelikle Türkiye'den selam ve sevgilerimi sunarım. Simona'ya da öncelikle anlayışından dolayı şimdiden teşekkür edeyim. Çünkü hemen zil yapacak biliyorum. Anlatacağım çok şey var aslında. Çok kısa olmazsa olmazlarımla özetleyeceğim. Türkiye'de son 3 yılda, özellikle son 3 yılda mesleki teknik eğitimde, mükemmellikte, kalitede, sektörde inanılmaz bir hareketlilikle, bu hareketlilik sayısal verilerde gördüğümüz gibi de bizi de hayrete düşürüyor. Çok hızlı ilerledik, bir yerlere geldik. Ama panel özelinde mükemmeliyet merkezleriyle bahsedecek olursam sektör bizim bir paydaşımız ve o paydaş olmadan zaten bu işin gelişeceğine kesinlikle inanmıyoruz. Şu an bizim ülkemizdeki sektörün de mesleki eğitimdeki gelişmeleri çok yakından takip ettiği ve bu anlamda bize tamamen destek olduğunu görüyoruz. Bunu en yakın olarak 10 ay önce mesleki eğitimdeki, yani dual sistemdeki dediğimiz 4 gün iş yerinde, bir gün okuldaki öğrenci sayımız 149 binden bugün 1 milyon 100 bine geldi sayı. Bu inanılmaz bir rakam. Yani 10 ayda inanılmaz bir artış gördük. Tabii burada biraz önce bahsettik. Politika anlamında da kamumuzun desteği var. Kanun değişikliği yaptık. Özel sektördeki her öğrenciye asgari ücretin yarısı kadar ücret ödeyerek hem sektöre hem öğrenciye destek veriyoruz. Bu maddi destekten dolayı sayısal verilerimiz de inanılmaz arttı. Çalışma Bakanlığı'yla projeler yürütüyoruz. Çalışma Bakanlığı'yla en son yürüttüğümüz projede 15 tane mükemmeliyet merkezi kurduk. Bu 15 mükemmeliyet merkezinin şu an mevzuat değişikliğine hazırlandık. Son aşamasındayız. Mükemmeliyet merkezlerinin kendi bağımsız birim yöneticileri, oradaki görevliler, yurt dışı, yurt içi firmalarla bağlantıları, öğretmenlerin eğitimleri, öğrencilerin mükemmeliyet merkezleriyle işverenler arasındaki bağlantılarını sağlayacak bir koordinasyon merkezi oluşturduk. Bunun mevzuatı son aşamaya geldi. Tabii bizde Covid süreciyle başlayan bir Ar-Ge okulları, Ar-Ge merkezleri de gündemde. Bu mükemmeliyet merkezlerini özellikle Ar-Ge merkezleriyle güçlendiriyoruz. Burada inovasyona ve ürün değerine de, ürün geliştirmeye de çok önem veriyoruz. Bunun da bir sayısal verisini vermek isterim. Yaklaşık bir 10 ay içerisindeki değişimi gözlemlemek adına 10 ay önce fikri sanayi mülkiyet başvurularımızdaki sayımız 1000 iken ve tescil sayımız 120 iken şu an 10 ay sonunda fikri sanayi mülkiyet bilincinin kazanılmasından dolayı en son dün itibariyle sayım 11.600'e ulaşmıştı. 10 kat arttı 10 ay içerisinde ve tescil sayım da 1565'lere 7-8 kat artış gösterdi. Bu bizler için önemli veriler bunlar. Sektörde tabii bunun yanında biz şu an çok önemli bir şey, biz ilkokuldan aslında ilkokul düzeyinde bu girişimcilik, mesleki tanıtımlar, yönlendirme, batarya, test bataryaları, öğrencilerin mesleki eğitime yönlenmesiyle ilgili büyük çalışmalar gösteriyoruz. Biliyorsunuz belki yarın OECD ülkelerine Türkiye'deki mesleki gelişimle ilgili bir programımız var. Onun için çok büyük bir yoğunluğumuz var. Buradan hemen oraya geçeceğim zaten. Yurt dışı Erasmus projelerine katılım sağlıyoruz. Özellikle yaklaşık bu sene 300 öğretmenimizi işbaşı eğitimine yurt dışına gönderdik ve önümüzdeki 3 yıl sürecinde proje kapsamında yaklaşık 1500 tane öğretmenimizi yine tecrübe alışverişi ve işverenlerin, yurt dışı işverenlerde eğitime dönüşen teknolojiyi yakından takip etmeleri için işbaşı eğitim süreçlerini aynı zamanda devam ettiriyoruz. Mevzuat değişikliklerimiz yine devam ediyor. Teşekkür ederim Simona. Söyleyeceğim çok şey var Simona ama özellikle özetlemek istedim. Teşekkür ederim. Çok sağ olun.
Mahmoud, I'm sorry so much for being the bad cop, because I also wanted to pass the floor to Bige. And, okay, but we will have other occasions because also we want to learn from each other. Yorgos?
Hi. Thanks, Mahmoud. And I'm glad that Simona is here with me so she can be the bad one and I can be the nice one. Bige, I remember a few years ago I visited your institution in Bursa. Really impressive work you're doing there. So the floor is yours now. The question remains the same: how the work you do influences policy shaping. The floor is
Thanks
yours.
for all fruitful topics, and I am starting in a very rapid way. I will express to you the three main principles on which we as COVE plan our activities from policy making to policy provider. I will also share an example for each principle to understand how we bind the policies and our activities. And all my examples will be in the last 3 years implementations. So I am not focusing on the theoretical background, but I will give some implemented solutions for dissemination and real life examples of policies from policy to action way. We have a 3 steps point of view. The first factor for us is from policy to the implementation is international developments and employment needs. We primarily monitor international developments and the employment needs in worldwide base, and then we skip the other topics and we try to follow the publications and events, ETFs and CEDEFOPs, and in a more global perspective, World Economic Forum's reports are very effective for us. In this way, we do a study each year while determining the activities of the next year to understand the direction of the world is going. While doing this, we also communicate with industrial organizations, both at national and international level, not just in national level. Our example in this regard is data scientist training program that we opened last year. While focusing on the design of this program, studies such as European Youth Strategy, the World Economic Forum's digitalization curves, and geographical qualifications were our starting point. Turkey is in a very good position in terms of qualified IT employees, but we have a very big deficit also in new qualified IT employees. So we searched the market, we searched all the curriculums, and we started the program of data scientist training program. With this way, we open a new era for the career of IT graduates, especially in VET institutions. After the first program, because of the good recruitment rates, second program was also granted by the Development Agency of Ministry of Industry. So with this way, we combine the national policies with international developments, and we produce direct result like recruitment. The second topic for us is the relationship with the national policymakers, which is Ministry of National Education. At different levels, we regularly review vocational technical education strategies. Our example in this regard is the grant program that we have commissioned this year. With this year, our foundation give grants to the vocational education high schools in all Turkey. We take this idea from Turkey Vocational Education Strategy Document and Action Plan and National Youth Employment Strategy. In other words, when starting our project, we firstly examine the focus areas of policymakers. Our one chance is Nazan Hanım, who is General Manager of Vocational and Technical Education Branch of Ministry, provided very active support with her colleagues. So we can make basically a two-way exchange. With national education strategies, we cannot achieve the results we want in their outputs. For this reason, we refer to the opinions and reports of the policymaker. And our grant projects will hopefully be long-term for this reason, because it has been prepared with a solid foundation at national strategic priorities with the Ministry of National Education. The third, last but not least, important factor for us is the business world needs. Clearly not being supported by business world, but directly we try to be in the business world. So as a foundation, we are in an organized industrial zone. We also provide training for the business world in our own workshops. We develop VR products for them. So being in directly an organized zone, we have lots of memberships. We are really together with business world. In this way, we are learning lots of things from them. So from policymakers to the customer as the industry, we can bind all the solutions in this way. The most important thing that I learned is making everything in COVE as a perfect way is impossible, really impossible. We have very different partners and target audiences. It is very critical for us to feed on these three factors and bind them. So it is very important. One positive feedback, Simona, maybe ETF can make that kind of events with a focused issues. Then you can be more relaxed and we can be more relaxed. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I couldn't agree more, Bige. Really. I'm really sorry because it was really inspiring and we have to go more into the content. And thank you so much for this appetizer. Yorgos?
Thank you, Bige. And we take note of all the comments. Indeed, I think we need more opportunities to discuss and exchange. And you will hear later on from Jose Manuel and me that this is the plan for next year. Our next group of panelists is from Moldova. I will present both at the same time. So Silviu, the head of that department of Ministry of Education and Research of Moldova, a very known figure for ETF. We've been working together for years now. And Mariana Parladianu, Director of Center of Excellence in Energetics and Electronics from Moldova. Hi, Mariana. The floor is yours. Silviu, please keep it short. The question is what do you learn from COVES and what is the state of play regarding the policies in Moldova?
Thank you, dear participants, for this opportunity to share our experience in the VET and for the opportunity to discuss about this and for all the projects we did and what we will implement in the future. So quickly, I will mention that in the Republic of Moldova, the Center of Excellence started working from 2015. From that period, we approved the regulation, we give the autonomy from the Center of Excellence, and we give some responsibility. But a little less, we give the resources to do that. So from 2015 to now, we work to increase capacity of the Center of Excellence and to increase the resources. In this regard, we work closely with the Center of Excellence for the elaboration and to approve the policy making. If we discuss about the curriculum of the another materials, we work closely with the school and with the Center of Excellence. And the Center of Excellence in each of the domain have the definitive role to improve the quality and to share the experience. And I think the most our relevant experience is in continued training from teaching staff who was provided for the Center of Excellence, but also to provide the curriculum regard, because in the Moldova from 2015, I think we approve at least 80% of the curriculum, and all this curriculum was developing and approving by the Center of Excellence, and this was a lot of work to be. A lot of work was done on this. So we have a lot of projects, and I want to mention this one project who is main HOPNet. In this regard, we have a support from ETF and support from the Austrian agency from internalization. On this platform, we have the possibility to have it all the Center of Excellence into discussion, to have on them continued training, and one of them will be in the next days, on the 6th of December, will be an event when we will share the best practices of the Center of Excellence. And on this occasion, I thank to Filippo, who will co-participate in this activity and will share the experience for our Center of Excellence, how to be a member of ENE. For my point of view, this is very important because not all of our Center of Excellence is member of ENE, and for the next year and for the next period, our focus will be to mobilize the Center of Excellence to be more active, to share more experience, more practices, because we have a lot of experience, a lot of quality. We have it in the system, but we need to change. We need to have more activity. And thank you, Simona, to stop me in this moment.
I'm sorry, really.
Thank you, Silviu. And Filippo is listening. He's the country liaison, apart from being a member of the ENE team as well for Moldova, and I'm sure he will follow up. Mariana, the floor is yours. How do you influence the policy shaping?
Thank you. I would like to apologize for my accent. I will try to do my best. So, the Center of Excellence in Energetics and Electronics writes very well. We are very glad to be in these meetings. The institutions have 1,700 students that are being involved in 14 specialties. The fields of professional formation are electroenergetics, electromechanics, telecommunication, and IT. Regarding the experience of national level, in institutions has a collaboration with different agents in high mentioned fields, as well a collaboration with Java of trying in implying dual studies. Recent good practice that we would like to talk about is your partnerships with EIS Las Merces and institution from Spain. We commonly agreed to have a joy activity, so we visit your wing partners in Spain. Regarding institutional experience, we have partners in Romania and Belgium. Other good practices that we count with is collaboration in German Agency of International Cooperation, United Nations Development Program regarding sustainable, inclusive economic growth. We would like to find partners to development solar parks. Our institution has a training program formation for adults in the field for photovoltaics installation. The institution is open for collaboration with all the potential partners. You choose the contribute in the development of digital competition and green competitions. That's all. Thank you very much for the attention.
Thank you, Mariana, and you did really well, by the way. So thank you for being with us and for the commitment. Our next group of speakers, and the last one for this session, is from Kazakhstan. So I welcome Nurdolet Zamaydarov, Head of Department for Coordination of Projects and Partnerships, and also welcome Kanish Mabedov. He's the director of APEC Petrotechnic Higher College of Kazakhstan, one of the first centers of excellence we had actually in ENE network. Nurdolet, the floor is yours.
Добрый день, уважаемые коллеги. Рад вас всех приветствовать. В рамках передового опыта хотел бы рассказать о проекте «Жас Маман», который был реализован в нашей стране. Это «Жас Маман», если прямой перевод, это «молодой специалист» переводится. Данный проект был реализован у нас с 2019 по 2021 годы, 3 года, то есть данный был проект реализован. И в рамках данного проекта всего, если в общем говорить, в нашей стране более 770 колледжей, из них более 400 колледжей государственных. И то есть в рамках данного проекта была модернизация данных колледжей. В данный проект вошло 180 колледжей страны, в том числе вот те колледжи, которые участвуют в нашей конференции, это Астанинский политехнический колледж, также вошел в данный проект. Цель данного проекта была это оснащение современным оборудованием данной колледжи, проведение капитального ремонта, то есть постройка где-то новых зданий проводилась, и, соответственно, была модернизация государственных колледжей в рамках данного проекта. И на сегодняшний день на базе данных колледжей открываются центры компетенции. То есть это на базе центра компетенции это дает возможность зарабатывать колледжам дополнительный доход, реализация различных там курсов повышения квалификации, выпуск собственной продукции. То есть данное мероприятие на сегодня в нашей стране реализуется. Также есть большая цель, это проведение отраслевой аккредитации 20 колледжей из 180. Хотим в плане провести аккредитацию 20 колледжей. на соответствие, например, мировых стандартов. Если берем, например, это отрасль нефтегазовая, там, например, по стандартам АПИТО, да, чтобы кадры соответствовали, кадры, которые выпускаются в данном колледже, соответствовали стандартам АПИТО. Если, например, берем строительную отрасль, стандарты NCR, например, да, вот в таком направлении на сегодня в Казахстане не реализуется реализация вообще проекта вот передового опыта. В принципе, кратко я хотела бы рассказать об этом. Также на сегодня вообще в стране, если кратко сказать, вот недавно у нас гости были, да? Да. Ну, если вопросы есть, я могу ответить. Ага, ага.
We will be collecting questions over chat, and if time doesn't allow to respond today, we can come back with answers. This goes for all the participants, for all the speakers. Do we have with us Kanish from APEC? Kanish?
No, unfortunately disconnected. So
no.
I think that you can actually close the session and then we pass to the
okay. Then let me thank all the speakers of this session. The idea was to connect the experiences of COVES with the policy shaping and policy making. You heard examples from Moldova, from Morocco, from Kazakhstan, Turkey, and Ukraine. Thank you all for your contributions. I think we are ready for the closing. Jose Manuel, you want to join me in this final part?
And before Manuel, allow me just to, I leave you with the two boys. And I go, thank you so much. It has been an extremely pleasure facilitating this very long marathon. As every year, I learned a lot from all of you. And I now leave you with Yorgos and Manuel for the final word and for what we have to expect. Because remember, in ENE, the best is yet to come. Thank you all.
Thank you, Simona, Yorgos, colleagues. This is perhaps the most beautiful space just to tell you in this moment that I have a family at home, but you are my best family ever I had in my life, in my professional experience. And this is why, because we are a big family, beautiful one, commit. And in these 2 days, we compiled the hard work we did together during these 2 years. And I am particularly proud and thank you all very much for having this beautiful opportunity to work together. I think these 2 years proves that this is the beginning also for a new international era for vocational education and training institutions. We are working very hard together to improve ourselves, to be better if we can, and also from the ETF team and Network for Excellence, but I saw you really in these 2 years, all of you improving a lot, really. The actions, the vision, the strategy, the experiences, the practices you are conveying, because all together in this family, we are working with all our partners in the best way, European Commission, international partners, providers, trying to collect good practices. But indeed, the point is that we are doing it together to shaping this concept. During these 2 years, I think the ENE, try to bring the best we could for being a family already of almost 260 members. The ENE door is still open, and also it proves also, I think Yorgos will give you now some words also on the service level agreement with European Commission. Joao did it, but also we are collecting international practices to indeed try to mobilize the best intelligence for you and for this community that is fantastic. I think during these 2 years, the thematic approach that we propose is clear, that also this conference confirms that this thematic approach it works. So it works excellence in lifelong learning, in entrepreneurial COVES, in autonomy, the important role of autonomy and private partnership, the greening responses to excellence, pedagogy and professional development, smart specialization, career guidance, the role of also work-based learning, Industry 4.0, and social inclusion, and also the important role that the self-assessment tool, which will be indeed, as yesterday briefed by Julian and Dorian colleagues, we will be transforming an international one. I think the concept also, we are modestly contributing to implement the concept of the European Commission on vocational excellence. That also worked, and also we have our concept, that also Julian introduced yesterday, how we see excellence on the scope, on the performance, on the capacities, but also in this last panel on how excellence is contributing to move forward policies. I think the definitions, and we have been asked for some, let's say, COVES countries in some sessions, we witnessed that also, in our first publication, we said, okay, not going to define vocational excellence because also is your work. We are here with you to work with you. And also we strongly recommend that also the national contest, you work on with the ingredients, but in all the cases, we are here also to shape with you the best concept that serves for moving forward practices for policy learning and policies. ENE and Erasmus Plus also, we witnessed during these 2 days that we are, playing a role there, and also some countries are asking for, work with us also on how better, marketing, or let's say promote risk-making, risk awareness with country on Erasmus Plus and the opportunities for funding. Next year, we have to initiate perhaps new life for the projects, and some of the projects will conclude and others will start in some of the themes, and also in the work we are doing with the European Commission. But in all cases, we will count on you. We want to shape this new initiative with your voice, and we will consult you for doing it. So these 2 years, we were in workshops. We had 20 webinars, 20 coaching sessions this year, 3 PLAs, peer learning activities in Netherlands, Latvia, and San Sebastian. So more than 40 actions targeted to you and to promote your interactions and your best learning and to mobilize your experiences. And for that, I now want to thank you very much, my colleague Loretta and Inna. Thank you. And all the team, ENE, really. We will try to focus also in country work, because also this conference makes us learning that there are countries that want to know more in detail who is ENE or what is doing ENE also in countries. But we did it all this live online. And also, of course, we will continue cooperating with our international partners for the work on beautiful work on promoting vocational excellence and role of centers of vocational excellence at international level. And I think I will pass the floor to Yorgos, because also I thank him very much for the work we do together in the team. Thank you, Yorgos, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Manuel, and thank you to all. I mean, ENE network is a vehicle, and we are all, let's say, passengers and drivers of this vehicle, and in a way we decide collectively where to go as well. So it's a joint effort, and we're grateful for this cooperation. The network is expanding. Is a true definition of an international network. International in the sense that it's not just EU, and many of the participants these last 2 days, they come from the EU, but also beyond the EU, also beyond the countries that usually ETF works with, what we call the partner countries. It's also international in the sense that it has regions involved in this network, and you heard from some of them already today. So we are proud of this dimension of ENE network. We are proud of the work that is happening all these years, and we are thankful to you, because we are learning from you. It's a two-way direction, this learning. We learn from your experience, and hopefully the tools that we put in front of you will help you grow as well and expand further. Next year, it's a crucial year for ENE. We will continue, of course, meeting you all, hopefully in physical, in presence as well, not just online. We wish we could have done this in physical presence, but of course there are certain obstacles there. We will be working on certain tools for the European Commission. So you may have heard about the service level agreement. These are contracts that are based on the knowledge we build from ENE, but they allow us to go one step further, and that's why they are extra subsidy projects. And many of you are part of that work as well. So that will continue. That will continue in the direction of the self-assessment tool, and you heard the presentation yesterday from colleagues. But also in the development of new knowledge, we'll have more studies, more research that will apply for a big audience, an international audience, which both policy shapers but also centers of vocational excellence can use to improve, to excel. That is the idea. Now, I'm coming to the most important part of this closing, which is to thank colleagues. So thank, first of all, to all the participants. Some of you really took time from your heavy agenda, daily agenda, to be here with us. Thank you for this commitment. You heard from our colleagues in Ukraine, and I'm grateful for their time to join us, but also every single one of you. Colleagues from the European Commission, they joined us today, from DG Employment, from INTBA, colleagues from CEDEFOP, they've been with us in these discussions. Today is now from JRC, from the Danube strategy. You didn't hear them, but they're here, they're among the crowd, and they're listening because, again, their work on ENE goes in many different directions, and hopefully all those directions, they come together to all the members. Let me thank the interpreters for the great work they have done today. Let me thank the queen of the event, that is Simona, for her contribution. I saw all your comments about Simona, so she deserves to be mentioned separately. But let me go to the core team of ENE, which is the heart of this work, and I would like to mention them one by one. You have seen them on the screen. Some of them you have not seen them, or you have not heard them speaking, but they are behind every single action we do. I start with Jose Manuel, who is the content coordinator of this work, and he has this big responsibility to make all these connections. Thank you, Jose Manuel. Then I go to Ina as the project manager of this project. Ina is working with you all to manage this project together with Manuel. Loretta is the project officer. You didn't hear her speaking, but she is behind every single action that you are involved, and she's here with us today. So special thanks to Loretta. I want to thank Maria from the communication team for all the facilitation these last 2 days and the input to have a great agenda, and Simona, of course, for her presence and for shaping this event. Then from our expert community, you met Julian, you have seen him. He is the person behind the self-assessment tool, but also other activities. You have heard from Doriana, who is our expert, again, behind the self-assessment tool and the label. You have heard her yesterday. Floriana, who is our expert on public-private partnerships, autonomy, and she also contributed to the work on work-based learning. You have heard from her yesterday. Suzanne, who is coordinating the work on green, how centers of excellence contribute to green, and the famous project of Greta, one of our popular activities. She's with us today and yesterday. Filippo, who is our expert working on social inclusion, but also on digitalization, and you have heard from him yesterday. Stefan, who is our expert working on studies, research, but also on work-based learning. One of the founders of this ENE team, going back a few years in this team. Lida, who is our expert working on social inclusion. And those of you who were present a few weeks ago in San Sebastian, you had the opportunity to hear from her and see her. Florian, our expert on career guidance, you heard of him today. This is a very popular topic that is catching up ground. We started later with this sub-initiative, but it's going really well. And Maria Vittoria. Maria Vittoria couldn't join us on the screen, but she's been following this work and she's coordinating the work on the entrepreneurial dimension of Center for Vocational Excellence. I thank them all for their work that goes back beyond the existence of this network, and that is the foundations of this work. So thank you all. Thank you for your cooperation, for your attendance. We'll come back to you very, very soon with the follow-up. Have a lovely afternoon. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias.
Grazie a tutti, ciao, io mi disconnetto.